In 1912, 63 years ago, Guy Wiedeck and the Big Four staged a rodeo, the first Calgary Stampede. In 1948, 27 years ago, the football fans of Calgary invaded the East and turned the national final into what it is today. The 1975 Grey Cup.
Live from the Stampede City of Calgary, it's the Eastern champions, the Montreal Alouettes, and the Western champions, the Edmonton Eskimos, in the 1975 Grey Cup. I'm Ernie Afghanis at McMahon Stadium, along with 33,000 excited, enthusiastic fans this afternoon. And you know, this is the largest crowd ever to watch a football game on the prairies. The city of Calgary celebrating its 100th birthday and hosting its first Grey Cup. And over this past week, thousands of Calgarians and many thousands of visitors from across the country have joined together to prove what a real festival is. And the best is yet to come. In a half hour from now, these fans in the stadium and millions of viewers across the country will watch two fine football teams in action. And you know, our television team that'll commentate is also very, very impressive. For example, to do the play-by-play, we have Don Whitman and Pat Marsden. To provide the expertise, Frank Rigney and Mike Wadsworth. And from the sidelines, Don Chevrier to do the Eastern bench, and Bill Stevenson on the Western side. And of course, Bill Stevenson will also be my co-host working on the 1975 Grey Cup. And Bill, I told you that you wouldn't need that thermal underwear. Was I wrong or right?
Well, look at me. You're certainly not wrong. Is this not sunny southern Alberta?
Yes.
I've got to wear sunglasses. We can walk around in jackets. It's not quite Miami, but it is a beautiful day for football with a slight breeze. And I must admit one thing, Ernie. I'm standing right at the heaters here that are going to be blowing on the Edmonton Eskimo bench. But actually, conditions could not be much better. Just a great day for what's going to be a great game. And you know, we have upstairs a couple of fellows with sun lamps on them. They're basking in comfort, too. I'm speaking about Don Whitman and the fellow commentator who will be working with him up there, of course, the man who will be doing the play-by-play for the second half of the game.
Well, it's going to be, we hope, a tremendously exciting game, Pat, somewhat reminiscent of regular season play that we saw particularly in the West, where the Eskimos were involved in a half dozen games that were decided in the final couple of minutes. Perhaps the most exciting game of the entire season involved these two teams on the 23rd of September when Dave Cutler kicked a last-second field goal that gave the Eskimos a 31-29 win.
And maybe that's why so many people are suggesting, Whit, that the Eskimos are favored for this ball game. But, you know, when you talk about the Alouettes, they're so inconsistent, you never really can tell what kind of a contest they're going to be able to put forward. For instance, we started in July, our first game of the year. They went into Hamilton and won in Hamilton. They went back home the next week and lost to Saskatchewan. I would say this much. They're a very well-coached club. They really want to win this game. I think it's going to be a classic. And from your point of view, I think the Eskimos better be ready for the ball game of the year.
Well, Marv Levy was quoted as saying that defense wins championships. This would not seem to apply to the Eskimos. They beat Winnipeg, for example, 48-41. Right here at McMahon Stadium, they were down 29-2 at halftime and came back to win 36-35. So it could be an exciting game if both teams are able to get their offenses rolling the way they did on the 23rd of September in that 31-29 Edmonton victory over Montreal.
All right, Don and Pat, and you know, during every Grey Cup game, the Eastern and Western champions are represented by two fine bands from across the country. The Eastern team, the Montreal Alouettes, is represented by the Regina Lions Junior A Band, one of the best in the country today. Bandmaster for the Lions Junior A Band from Regina is Mr. Robert Mossing, and he has a total of 125 musicians. It's a concert band. It was formed in 1946. The youngest is 12, the oldest 19. And this band had an overseas tour in 1974, won a gold and 3 silver medals at the World Music Festival in Holland. 2 silver and 2 bronze at the festival in England, and it was the official band of the Western Canada Games held in Regina this past summer. During all football games, naturally, all eyes are on the playing field because that is where the action is. But there's also some hectic action of a different kind on the players' benches. And Don Chevrier will be at the Montreal bench, and he has his own personal camera.
How about that, Ernie? And this camera is going to follow all the reaction for you. Injuries that may occur this cold day here at McMahon Stadium. I'll tell you, Bill Stevenson can keep his coat off all day. This one is staying on. The wind out here swirling around. We're in the sunlight, but indeed, it's a cold November day in Calgary. The main thing is that field is dry and should be in excellent shape to give us a fine football game between the two. Well, the Alouettes won it last year, of course, in the rain in Vancouver by a score of 20-7 over the Edmonton Eskimos. And, of course, the man to talk to was the coach, Marv Levy of the Alouettes, about defending the Grey Cup championship he won in '74. I talked to Marv earlier today.
Coach, good morning.
Good morning, Don.
This is a day that coaches work all year for, and, you know, as I look back, you have won most of the big football games of the Alouettes that you had to win. So here you are again today in the same kind of situation.
Well, that's right. Each one is a different experience, however, Don, and it's a struggle, and you're assured of nothing. If we have done, just as you say, won the big ones, it's because of the type of man we have in our football team. I think we have a team with a lot of character. We're playing another fine team today, so let's find out what happens. I hope we can win another one of the big ones, as you say.
You said it before, the defense is going to win it for you. Do you still feel that way right now?
Well, I've always said I felt that defense wins championships, and it's going to take a tremendous performance from our defense in order to stop what I feel is the best offensive team in Canada without question.
And then execution.
Well, block and tackle. The same old things win games. It isn't strategy or tactics or tricks or men in motion. If you block and you tackle, you're going to win.
Coach, good luck this afternoon in defense of that Grey Cup championship.
Thank you, Don.
Montreal coach Marv Levy. And you know, football is a very complicated game that moves quickly, and it takes real knowledge to point out those intricate parts of the game. Well, our expertise today is provided by two former great CFL stars, and they know how to tell you all about that very important information. Frank Rigney and Mike Wadsworth.
Well, Mike, you know, all the conversation this week is centered around Larry Highball and Johnny Rogers, but I think you picked out a fella on that defensive unit from Montreal that should be important this afternoon.
Well, Frank, you've heard Coach Marv Levy say it many times that he believes defense wins championships. One of the most important figures in that defense will be number 72, Carl Cornell, the middle linebacker. Edmonton, of course, has a strong inside running game and also likes to throw that short curl in and hook pattern. So that Carl Cornell from his middle linebacking position will be a central figure defensively.
Don, I think the middle linebacker of the Eskimos is also going to be very important. Dan Kepley, number 42. He has excellent range getting around that football field, but he's just not that big. He's only about 210 pounds, and he could have some problems tackling Steve Faragelli.
Frank, when you come right down to it, you still have to put points on the board. One fellow for the Montreal Alouettes who might not be talked about as much as Johnny Rogers or Peter Delariva is number 36, Larry Smith. A fine running back who does an excellent job as a lead blocker for Faragelli, is capable of running the ball himself, but hasn't done so a great deal. However, in the passing department, he's picked up 52 catches during the regular season, just behind team leader Peter Delariva. I think this man could be a big factor in today's game.
Well, switching over to the Eskimos offensively, I don't think there's any question you have to talk about George McGowan. George, of course, set the record for the most pass receptions in the history of the CFL in 1975. He's, of course, number 76, and the cornerbacks and the rest of the deep backs of the Montreal Alouettes are certainly going to have to watch for George McGowan. He was the outstanding player in Canada 2 years ago, and he's really the key to the Edmonton Eskimo offense, in my opinion.
Think there's any chance they can cover him just one-on-one?
Not really.
We'll have to see, Frank.
Earlier, you saw the Regina Junior A band representing the Montreal Alouettes from the east. Now we're going to see the band representing the Edmonton Eskimos, the Western champions. It's the Edmonton all-girls marching band called the Ambassadors. Bandmaster of the all-girl marching ambassadors is Mr. Bill Simon, a total of 105 members. It was formed in 1966 by parents who still support the group. The youngest 11, the oldest 18. They toured Holland in 1974 along with Germany and Belgium, and in 74 won the gold at the World Music Festival in Holland. Then they toured the United States and won the overall award at the California Festival. And in Kelowna, they won the overall championship in 71, 72, 73, and 75. The Edmonton all-girl marching ambassadors. A great coach, Bud Grant, once said, unless your team made the Grey Cup, the season was not a success. Coach Ray Yock of the Eskimos, who once played for Bud, feels much the same way. This is his third consecutive Grey Cup final. And earlier, Bill Stevenson had a chance to talk to him. Bill?
Coach Yock, you said that your club is stronger than it was last year going into the Grey Cup. Could you tell us why?
Well, we felt like we had an improved football team over last year, basically because of personnel changes that we've made. In addition to Mike Fink late in the year, stabilized one of our corner positions. Wayne Mathern getting back in the lineup. Dan Kempley, Tom Laputka, those type of people on defense. Offensively, of course, getting George McGowan back for the whole year definitely has helped us, and we've got more maturity. We've got another year of experience offensively. Our kicking game with Cutler has always been good. Probably the one area where we're hurting a little bit right now and throughout the season has been when Gary Lefebvre got injured, not only his receiving ability, but his punting ability, and that's something we're a little uncertain of right now.
Well, Coach, you're going into the big game in just a few moments from now. Can you tell us, is there added pressure for a Grey Cup game than, say, over an Eastern Final or any other major game such as this?
Oh, I would think that there's a little extra pressure, Bill, but if you've been here a few times, you get used to it, I guess. I don't know if the butterflies ever really get out of your stomach, but it's a great game, and it's going to be a good game, and may the best team win.
Good luck, Coach Yock.
Thank you.
The Eskimo coach, Ray Yock. Now, here are the officials for the 1975 Grey Cup game, as appointed by the Commissioner of the CFL, Jake Gadar, and the Director of the Referees, Hap Scholdice. Now, the referee is Bill Fry, number 32. The line umpire, Harold Ferguson, number 22, from Edmonton. The back umpire, Lorne Woods, number 38, from Ottawa. The head linesman is Ross Perrier, wearing 16. He's from Toronto. And the field judge is Merv Pilling, number 42, from Calgary. While the standby official is Jim Lysak, number 27, from Regina. The officials, for today's game. You know, during any football game, the isolation director is very, very important. He's the man who anticipates the play and tries to isolate the man who will be involved in that next play. Dr. Kenny Nielsen, a former great Bomber star, one of the fine receivers in football in his time, and also a Shenley Award winner, is our man in the truck. Let's see what his working area is like.
Many of the cameras out there today will be shooting the action live, but we have 4 cameras positioned in various spots on the field that will be concerned primarily with isolated replay. For example, this is George McGowan from the low-level end zone camera. And from the elevated end zone camera, have a look at Johnny Rogers. This is the press box ISO camera, John Konahosky. And from the low-level sideline camera, you can get right in on the action with Steve Faragelli scoring a touchdown. Besides those normal replays, sometimes we can pick up some interesting byplay that goes on down there. This is John Konahosky and Dushinsky.
Before we go down on the field to meet some of the dignitaries who are with us today, including the Prime Minister of Canada, quite a few things have happened over this past week. For example, Wendy Miles, Miss Calgary Stampeder, won the Miss Grey Cup Award. Then Willie Burden, who had such a tremendous season in Calgary with the Calgary Stampeders, gaining close to 1,900 yards, also won the Shenley Award, the coveted award in football today. And he beat a very fine football player in Johnny Rogers from the Montreal Alouettes. Willie Burden, in really what you might consider his rookie year, although he did play a few games last season, came on this year to break Earl Lunsford's record, which held for more than a dozen years. And you know, Calgary just put on a tremendous show throughout the week. Last night, for example, the Grey Cup dinner was one of the most unusual Grey Cup dinners we have ever seen. After a multitude of speeches, the young Canadians, who you will see at halftime, put on a spectacular show and took a standing ovation from a sellout crowd at this $25 a plate dinner in the Four Seasons last night. And you know, we have the Premier of our country here today, who is an avid sports fan. His son Justin is with him, and he is walking along with several dignitaries who will be watching the game from the stands this afternoon, including the Premier of Alberta, Peter Lougheed, and several other outstanding dignitaries, Rod Sykes, the Mayor of Calgary, Terry Kavanagh, the Mayor of Edmonton, and several people representing the provinces across the country. You can see them filing through this tremendous crowd, which is gathered at, well, not on the field level itself, but just off the playing surface. And they're making their way to our commentator there, Winston McQuaid. The Prime Minister is all dressed and waiting, and here is Winston McQuaid.
Game. Est-ce que c'est la première fois que Justin assiste à un match de football?
N'est-ce pas, Justin? C'est la première fois.
C'est la première fois? Oui. Can I ask you, who do you think is going to take it?
Oh, naturally. Where do you think I'm from, eh? Elected in Montreal, born in Montreal, going to see a big Montreal game here today.
Alors évidemment, vos prédictions...
Je ne sais pas qui va gagner, non. Mais Montréal va jouer une très bonne partie, ça je vous garantis.
Alors je vous souhaite un bon match avec Justin.
Merci.
Of course, the dignitaries, as we said, and the Prime Minister of Canada. We pointed out earlier that Wendy Miles, Miss Grey Cup, who is also Miss Calgary Stampeder, will not be with us at this time. But I neglected to tell you one other great happening during this week in Calgary, which was sensational. Rick Polk from Saskatoon, a fine curler, defeated Bill Fry from Winnipeg to win that centennial Calgary curling spiel, which is actually called the Grey Cup spiel by most people. He won 11-5, so Rick took home $10,000 in what has been called the most spectacular, best curled bonspiel in the history of the game. So we continue on now, and we're in our preparations for the Grey Cup game itself. It won't be long before we're able to get down on the field and see the players play. There have been several problems with the teams with injuries, but we're going to see the starting lineups and see just who is in the game. So let's go down to Bill Stevenson with the player introductions.
And now, introducing the starting offensive lineup of the Eastern Conference champions, the Montreal Alouettes. At right tackle, number 55, Barry Randall. At right guard, number 61, Frank Pomerico. At center, number 44, Wayne Conrad. At left guard, number 52, Ray Watron. At left tackle, number 67, Dan Yoakum. Now, the receivers. At tight end, 74, Peter Dallariva. At flanker, number 31, Joe Petty. At split end, number 16, Skip Eamon. The running backs. At fullback, number 33, Steve Farragelli. At halfback, number 36, Larry Smith. At halfback, number 20, Johnny Rogers. At quarterback, number 8, Jimmy Jones. And now, the head coach, Marv Levy. And his coaching staff, Dan Sakanovich, Rod Rust, and Gene Gaines, wearing number 22. And now, the rest of the Montreal Alouettes. And now, let's meet the defensive team of the Western Conference champion Edmonton Eskimos. The defensive line. At right end, number 55, Ron Este. At right tackle, number 61, Tom Laputka. At left tackle, number 65, Dave Fennell. At left end, number 62, Bill Stevenson. The linebackers. At right linebacker, 44, Rob McLaren. At middle linebacker, 42, Dan Kepley. At left linebacker, 30, Dale Potter. The defensive halfbacks. At right cornerback, number 13, Larry Highbaugh. At left half, 17, Dick Dupuis. At safety, number 18, John Farlinger. At right half, number 8, Wayne Mathern. At left corner, number 22, Mike Fink. And now, the head coach, Ray York. His coaching staff, Babe Cassia, Vic Rapp, and Leo McKillop have already gone upstairs to the spotting booth. And here are the rest of the Edmonton Eskimos. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, coming to center field now are the team captains, Tom Wilkinson, Bob Howe, Ron Este, and Larry Highbaugh of the Edmonton Eskimos. And for the Montreal Alouettes, Barry Randall, Mike Widger, and Rudy Florio. The Edmonton Eskimos have won the coin toss. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we would ask you to stand now and join the young Canadians in the singing of our national anthem, O Canada.
In just a few moments, the 1975 Grey Cup game will be underway. Your commentators for the first half, Don Whitman and Frank Rigney.
Thank you, Ernie. Hi again, everybody. Frank, we're just moments away from the kickoff to this 1975 Grey Cup game. Last year in the rain at Empire Stadium, it was a 20-7 Montreal Alouette victory. We've talked about what might happen in the pregame show, but is there anything you think we should look for right off the top?
Well, I think the Edmonton Eskimos basically, Don, are going to have to throw the football against this Alouette ball club. They have a big advantage, of course, this year as compared to last year because of the weather conditions. The weather is just absolutely excellent and should not limit them in any way offensively.
Frank, do you think that the Alouettes or the Eskimos will try for the bomb right off the top of the game?
I don't know if it would be right off the top of the game, Don, but very definitely the big play aspect of the Montreal Alouette Offensive Football Club is really the way they go into a ball game. They don't really, over the course of this season, march 60, 70, 80, 90 yards downfield against you, but they can break a ball game open from any point on the field because they've got the little man, JR.
Well, of course, the Edmonton Eskimos have their little man, Larry Highbaugh. So this afternoon at any time, you could have a punt or a kickoff return to distance.
Yeah, I don't think we will actually see Larry Highbaugh in the football game that much offensively unless they get behind and really have to go for the big play offense themselves.
Ray Yark looking on at Larry Highbaugh, waiting for the opening kickoff as the Montreal Alouettes will kick to the Edmonton Eskimos. Larry Highbaugh in kickoff returns this year, averaged 16.5 yards per carry, tops in the country. And Larry Highbaugh, standing back there, has as his partner on the kickoff return unit, Mike Fink. And the addition of Fink to that Edmonton lineup has certainly taken pressure off Highbaugh on both punt and kickoff returns. Fink has been dangerous. He has returned 2 punts for touchdowns, and his presence certainly helps Larry Highbaugh because the kicking team can no longer concentrate on keeping the ball away from Larry Highbaugh. A capacity crowd of 33,000 at McMahon Stadium. Don Sweet preparing to kick off for the Montreal Alouettes. Sweet last year in the Grey Cup game had the record-shattering performance of 4 field goals. The officials again: Bill Fry, Harold Ferguson, Lorne Woods, Ross Perrier, and Merv Pilling. Bill Fry waiting for instructions from the timekeeper. The final group has left the field. Don Sweet moves up in preparation for this opening kickoff once again on the artificial turf here at McMahon Stadium that was covered with snow yesterday, but an excellent job by groundskeeper Marv Lay and his crew has cleared it of snow, and the playing field is in excellent condition. There's the whistle, there's the signal from Bill Fry, and this 1975 Grey Cup game is underway. The opening kickoff is taken by Mike Fink on the sideline. And Fink is caught and brought down at the 15-yard line by Ian Mulford. He was the first man downfield. And the Edmonton Eskimos will start out. The ball is actually being positioned at the 14.
An excellent kick, Don. Fink almost stepped out of bounds on his own 5-yard line there. A 61-yard kick, only a 9-yard return by Mike Fink.
Tom Wilkinson is the starting quarterback.
Be interesting to see if they try to go after Junior IU right off the top, Don, because they think they have to beat him to win this football game.
George McGowan comes wide right. Stu Lang is split left. Roy Bell trying the middle of that line. He gets nowhere, and that was Junior Ayu who came in to pull the feet out from under Roy Bell. There was some doubt earlier in the week as to whether Junior Ayu would start. Roy Bell on the season, the third leading rusher in the West with 1,006 yards, and he was the top ground gainer, obviously, for the Edmonton Eskimos. He got back to the line of scrimmage and no further. It will be 2nd and 10 for the Eskimos. They're at their own 14. We're just underway in this 75 Grey Cup Classic. Wilkinson's throwing to his tight end, Tyrone Walls, and Walls has a first down as he drives it up to the 27. Tackled there by the corner linebacker, Wally Buono.
Just a quick out pattern by the big tight end, Tyrone Walls, 75. McGowan was on his side, so there was a wide open spot in that flat area. Good catch by Walls. First down of this football game.
Tyrone Walls, who missed a few games in the last part of the season, and the Eskimos certainly missed his very strong blocking from the tight end position during that time.
You have to throw off this formation, Don.
John Konahowski, the receiver, he tried to stay in bounds, but he was forced out at the 34, by Wally Buono.
Just a quick out by John Konahowski in the same area that Tyrone Walls got the first completion of this football game. When you see those backs split like that, Calvin Harrell and Roy Bell, Edmonton really likes to throw the football. Their tendency would be 80 or 90% to put it in the air off that formation.
It's 2nd and 3 for the Eskimos. The ball between the 34 and the 35. They started this drive from their own 14. Action at the line of scrimmage. Calvin Harrell goes straight ahead. Penalty flags are down. Tony Proudfoot made the tackle.
It appeared that the Alouettes jumped offside. Something I'm sure that the coaching staff of the Alouettes have been working on all week long. Take a look at it. You can see 2 or 3 people, the Alouettes, jumping outside. IU was one of them.
Number 34, Mike Widger, was the man who encroached upon that 1 yard at the line of scrimmage, and it is a first down for the Edmonton Eskimos. Tom Wilkinson, having moved the club from the 14 to the 40, 12 minutes and 47 seconds still remain in this first quarter. Wherever you're looking in this afternoon, we hope you're enjoying this 75 Grey Cup Classic from McMahon Stadium in Calgary. Roy Bell trying to work his way through that line, and he is brought down right at the 40.
Well, this is the kind of blocking pattern that the Edmonton Eskimos are going to try to work on. Middle linebacker Carl Purnell. Watch Willie Martin, number 50, go up behind Bob Howes, the offensive center, number 53. If the good penetration by Judges stops the play, limited to a very short gain.
An advance of 1. It's 2nd and 9. It would appear to be an obvious passing situation for the Eskimos. McGowan and Konahowski come wide right. Lang goes left. Wilkinson looking to put it in the air. Going to George Konahowski, and he steps out of bounds. However, he is short of the first down at the 47.
Good pressure from Weir there, and I think that's where the pressure should come from in the Alouette defense. Take a look at it once again. The 3 times the Eskimos have thrown successfully, it's been in this area each time. They will, however, be short of a first down, so with 11:38 remaining in the first quarter, we should have our first punt of the football game.
Johnny Rogers and Dickie Harris, 20 and 18 respectively, are back to receive the kick from Gary Lefebvre. He broke an ankle in the very first game of the season and did not return until last Sunday in the playoff victory of the Eskimos over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He does not get away a good kick. As a matter of fact, it hangs up there. It could bounce. No, it's taken by Dick Harris. A very alert play, and penalty flags also go down. And almost certainly no yards will be charged against the Edmonton Eskimos. Frank, for a moment it appeared it was going to be a play somewhat reminiscent of last Sunday when Lefebvre, on his very first punt, kicked short and it bounced back. He recovered and the Eskimos maintained possession and went in for a touchdown. But this time, a very alert move by Dickie Harris gives Montreal excellent field position.
Well, you heard Coach Ray Yock say that punting will be a problem for him this afternoon. It's pretty obvious. That one only went 12 yards.
With Jimmy Jones at quarterback, the Owls are at the 49 of the Eskimos. The pitch to Johnny Rogers. Rogers tried to get outside. The first to make contact with him was Bill Stevenson, and then Dan Kepley finished the job.
Don, they're bringing everybody they can. Watch Steve Farragelli leading the play here for Johnny Rogers. He picks up Wayne Mathern, number 8, the defensive back for the Eskimos.
Second down and 7.
Leading both Smith and Farragelli, trying to get as many people out in front of Rogers as possible.
Don, that's a pretty loose Alouette offense going in there. They're pretty relaxed, smiling and laughing at the bench, and they're ready.
They appeared to be ready, Don, in practice sessions throughout the week. It is 2nd and 7. Jimmy Jones dropping back. Throwing complete to Petty. And that is a first down for the Alouettes at the 31 of the Eskimos. And Petty has been utilized more as a receiver in the double coverage that has been applied to Johnny Rogers.
Well, this time he's working on Mike Fink, the cornerback, on the left side for the Eskimos. And if Jimmy Jones gets that much time, these Alouettes are going to move the football in the air.
Jimmy Jones, for fans who may not be too familiar with the Alouette quarterback, is staying in the pocket much more in recent games than he did at the start of the season, where he had a tendency to roll out of there. First and 10 from the 31. The draw play with Johnny Rogers, and Rogers is brought down right at the line of scrimmage by middle linebacker Dan Kepley. The score is Montreal 0 and Edmonton 0. The 1975 Grey Cup continues in a moment. It's 2nd and 10 for the Alouettes. The ball is at the 31 as we get a beautiful overhead view of McMahon Stadium from our crane cameraman, Tom Fisk of CBXT Edmonton. He's 300 feet above McMahon Stadium. .39 is the time left to play in this first quarter. Action at the line of scrimmage. Penalty flags are down. That little swing pass to Larry Smith, and he's forced out of bounds by Wayne Mathern.
Don, it appeared to me that right tackle Barry Randall and Peter Della Riva were in motion prior to that ball being snapped. You can see them at the top of your screen. Della Riva, of course, is number 74, and Randall 55.
Frank and Don Smith a little shaken up on that play, but he's staying in there.
The illegal procedure fraction was against Peter Della Riva. The Eskimos declined the penalty as the gain by Larry Smith was only about 3 yards. Don Swede, who was the hero for the Alouettes in '74 at Empire Stadium in Vancouver, moves in. He kicked 4 of them, you'll remember, last year. Jimmy Jones will hold on the first field goal attempt in '75 from the 35. He has the advantage of a favoring wind. The kick is up. It is good. And the Montreal Alouettes move in front of the Edmonton Eskimos by a score of 3-0. The Alouettes, second-place finishers in the Eastern Conference with a record of 9-7, defeating Hamilton in the semifinal, and then Marv Levy took his Alouettes to victory 20-10 over the Ottawa Rough Riders last Saturday. The Eskimos finished first in the West. We alluded earlier to our crane camera. There it is. And that's the view that Tom Fisk has from 300 feet above McMahon Stadium. Frank, I wouldn't want to be up there.
No, sir. This is high enough for me right here.
The Eskimos have elected to scrimmage from the 35 rather than have Montreal kick off. That, of course, is one of the options. I believe that was intended for either Roy Bell or Calvin Harrell, but Junior Ayu may have fouled things up, Frank.
Take a look at him. He's number 77, and he was the fellow they were most concerned defensively. He's playing that right defensive end spot, and he sees Bell coming out here on his attempted screen. You'll see him pick him up right here.
Ayu was voted Defensive Player of the Year in the 74 Grey Cup game, and he is off to an impressive start here in 75. It's 2nd and 10 for the Eskimos from the 35. Wilkinson with that roll action to the right, down the sidelines, and it is complete to George McGowan for a first down. They'll position the ball at the 48, a gain of 13.
Don, I don't think you're going to see that very often. They had Gene Gaines man-to-man on George McGowan there, and I don't really think Gaines is going to be able to cover him. They're going to change their defenses up, obviously, throughout the afternoon, but that was man coverage. You see McGowan working against Gaines right here. Well, we never did see Gaines, but I saw Gaines covering him from about 3 or 4 yards away.
From the 48, it's a first down for the Eskimos with 8:05 remaining in this first quarter, and Montreal leading 3-0. Calvin Harrell gets the call, and he fights his way to midfield. Wally Buono made the tackle. And among the spectators, Ralph Sazio, the president of the CFL, Commissioner Jake Goddard, you see the Prime Minister, Pierre Trudeau, and his 5-year-old son, Justin, looking on. Prime Minister, in the pregame interview with Winston McQuaid, indicated which side he was pulling for, the Montreal Alouettes. The pass to George McGowan is going to be just a little short, I would think, of that forward marker. He was forced out by Dickie Harris, and Tom Wilkinson obviously felt that his progress had carried a little further.
George was a little upset where they spotted that football as well. They needed to get to the 51-yard line of the Alouettes for a first down, but they're obviously going to be short by about a yard.
Bill Fry now conferring with Tom Wilkinson.
Creates the first major coaching decision, whether the Eskimos will gamble on third down here with 7:28 remaining in the first quarter.
Tom Wilkinson indicating to Coach Ray Yock at the bench just how far the Eskimos have to move that football. And Ray Yock is taking no chances, which comes as something of a surprise to us and to, obviously, a good portion of the spectators. He has sent in the kicking unit. I thought that on third and less than a yard that he would go for it. And Tom Wilkinson had indicated to the bench that he felt they should try it.
Well, possibly he can remember the Eastern final where the Ottawa Rough Riders couldn't put the ball in the end zone from the 1-yard line against these Alouettes.
Gary Lefebvre, who kicked for only 12 on his first attempt, stands at his own 44. A better kick this time. It's taken by Johnny Rogers. Good coverage by the Edmonton Eskimos. Tom Towns was downfield to make the tackle, and obviously they've been working on coverage. The score is Montreal 3 and Edmonton 0. The 1975 Grey Cup continues in a moment. Don Whitman, along with Frank Rigney, Ernie Afaganis, Don Chevrier, Bill Stevenson, Pat Marsden, and Mike Wadsworth at McMahon Stadium. This 75 Grey Cup Classic. And the Alouettes will scrimmage 1st and 10. The ball is at their own 23. Gelly going outside. He puts his head down and butts a couple of people across the 30.
Now, the Alouettes have really not been that successful a football club running to the outside, but watch Potter, number 30 here. He gets caught in the inside. That's Smith that's blocking on number 36, and Faragelli manages to get around to the outside and picks up an 8-yard gain for the Alouettes.
It's 2nd and 2 from the 31. Faragelli again, and he dives through for a 1st down as he strikes to the 36. Bill Stevenson made the tackle. Quite a variety of clothing being worn at McMahon Stadium as the spectators are protecting themselves against the elements. And the wind has certainly increased in velocity since the start of the game. It is blowing out of the south, I would say at 15 to 20 miles an hour now. Start of the game, it was only 5 miles per hour. On 1st down, Larry Smith going left for a gain of a couple.
Great fill by Ron Este from the inside.
5 minutes and 26 seconds, the time left to play in quarter 1. 3-0. The Alouettes lead the Eskimos on the strength of a field goal by Don Sweet. Dick Dupuis, one of the veteran members of that defensive unit. Second and 8. Ball is at the 37. Jones throwing to Petty, wide open on the sidelines. Petty beats one man and then goes down at the 45. Mike Fink was the man over defending against Petty, but he was wide open to accept that pass from Jimmy Jones. And let's take another look at it.
Well, there had to be a mix-up in coverage here between Mathern and Fink because Petty is really wide open. A 28-yard gain for the Alouettes. See, Mike Fink, number 22, was playing deep. He threw between Fink and Mathern, who's number 8. A good shot of the isolated camera, and you see both Fink and Mathern went to the inside, creating that big hole for Petty.
Back to live action. It's 1st down from the 45. Petty this time comes left. Jones throwing up the middle, incomplete. It was intended for Johnny Rogers, and quite a collision there involving Farlinger. Rogers, and it appeared to be Mike Fink.
He was really nailed by Farlinger down number 18. Watch it right here. Farlinger was shaken up on the play, but he's not going out of the football game.
The Alouettes feel that if Johnny Rogers on kickoff returns, punt returns, pass receiving and running can contribute anywhere close to 200 yards, they should win most football games, so they're going to try and get the ball to him quite often. Jones has been good on 3 of 4 attempts so far. It's 2nd and 10 from the 45. The screen to the left side to Larry Smith. Lopatka made an excellent move to break it up. Conrad was trying to block on him, but Lopatka just got to the ball carrier to upset him at the 40.
Watch Tom Lopatka on this play. He's number 61, of course, a former Ottawa Rough Rider, and he reads it extremely well. He was working against Watron, and he comes from behind Smith to limit the gain to 5 yards.
Three minutes and 32 seconds, the time left in this first quarter. It is 3rd and 5 for the Alouettes, and Don Sweet with his 2nd field goal attempt. If this keeps up, he may well shatter his Grey Cup record of 4 set last year in Vancouver. This one from 47 yards out. It is good. And the Montreal Alouettes lead the Edmonton Eskimos 6-0 with 3 minutes and 11 seconds still to play in this first quarter. Right now, let's find out what's happening from Bill Stevenson.
Well, what's happening is that we have got the queen of the Grey Cup with us, Wendy Miles, Miss Stampeder, and Miss Grey Cup. Wendy, how have you been enjoying Grey Cup week?
Just super. This is my first Grey Cup game ever, and I'm just having a terrific time.
Well, I know that you're a Stampeder fan, but who are you cheering for in the Cup?
Edmonton.
Well, let's hope that your team comes out on top and you enjoy it. And by the way, is it cold up in the stands?
No, it's very warm. Very warm.
Well, we'll let you go back up in the stands. Congratulations, Wendy, and let's go back to the ball game.
Thank you very much.
Indeed, a very pretty young lady, Bill, Miss Grey Cup. Roy Bell, the ball carrier, picking up about 3 yards, tackled by Glenn Weir. With 2:49 remaining in the first quarter, the score is Montreal 6 and Edmonton nothing, and the 1975 Grey Cup continues in a moment.
Roy Bell only picked up 2 yards on this play, but it wasn't because of the effort by Watkins or Wall, because they did a great job against Junior IU right there. He's, of course, number 77.
It's 2nd and 7 for the Eskimos. Wilkinson with that roll action right again, throwing complete, this time to Lang on a crossing pattern, and that's the first down for the Eskimos at the 50. First and 10 for Edmonton. The ball is at their own 50. Bob Levy discussing with the men upstairs what may have happened because of defensive breakdown on that play. Roy Bell puts his head down and gets about 4 with Junior IU in on the tackle for the Alouettes.
Take a look at the job that Carl Cannell does right here. He's a middle linebacker, of course, for Montreal. He's working against Bob Howes, number 53, the Edmonton center. Cannell's quite a bit bigger than his counterpart for the Eskimos, Dan Kepley, and he uses his size to good advantage there.
The Eskimos moving out on a 2nd and 6 situation. The ball just shy of the midfield stripe. Movement at the line of scrimmage if no flags go down. However, Wilkinson does. He is dropped back at the 40. A big loss, and the fans, as you can tell by their reaction, thought that there should have been an infraction. There appeared to be motion at the line of scrimmage, but obviously not.
Don, I think that's unbelievable. I thought Widger and Cornell were both offside. It's the first time we've seen a blitz by this Ottawa defense. You can see movement long before that ball is snapped. You see Widger coming in to make the stop on Wilkinson, and Edmonton are just a little upset about that call.
You should see how upset the coach of the Edmonton Eskimos is. Ray Yock is just storming up and down the sidelines, and fortunately, we can't read lips.
Well, you saw it from that stop action right there. There were 3 or 4 Alouettes encroaching on that 1-yard zone.
From the way Tom Wilkinson dropped back at the 40-yard line, he obviously thought that there should have been a penalty flag as well. Gary Lefebvre now kicking from his own 25 into that 13-mile-an-hour wind, and he gets away an excellent kick. Dickie Harris retreats to his own 20. Looking for some help from Johnny Rogers on a block. He gets one, and then is brought down at the 32. Tyrone Walls was downfield to make the tackle. From the 32, it's 1st and 10. Johnny Rogers going nowhere in the middle in the grasp of Tom Laputka. 27 seconds left in this first quarter. It's 6-0, the Alouettes over Edmonton. At the Edmonton bench and also over at the Alouette bench, the players are able to keep their hands warm and their feet warm as the result of special propane heaters that have been installed. This could very well be the final play of the first quarter. Rogers was able to pick up 1 yard. Jones, that swing pass to Larry Smith, and Smith dives forward. He was looking at that far marker, and it appears he made it.
They're doing a big job of getting those linebackers, the Edmonton Eskimos, back out of there. You see Della Riva go in motion there, and Smith just circles out of that backfield, and he's wide open. McLaren and Potter have to make a decision whether to come up on those backs coming out of that backfield or get back and provide additional coverage with the defensive backs. The scores of Montreal Alouettes 6, the Edmonton Eskimos 0. The 1975 Grey Cup continues in just a moment.
Here's to the everyday things that end up being everything. Here's to all things simple, with casual clothing and footwear from Marks.
In terms of possession, Edmonton had the football about 2 minutes longer than the Alouettes in that first quarter, but the Alouettes got the points. We have fans from all parts of Canada here at McMahon Stadium. The banners indicating what part of the country they are from. As they change ends, the first play of the second quarter, Faragelli straight ahead. A penalty flag goes down. Faragelli dives through to the 48, tackled there by Tom Leputka.
The official appeared to be pointing at Conrad, the offensive center. Let's take a look and see what he did on the play. I didn't pick it up. Well, I don't know if that was a holding call, Don. It certainly didn't appear to be against Conrad. I didn't see him holding anybody.
Well, one of the officials saw somebody holding Frank. This, by the way, is also Calgary's centennial. It's one of the reasons the Grey Cup game was awarded to this southern Alberta city. Besides that, they've just done a tremendous job of hosting the affair with all the activities of Grey Cup week. It's a repeat of the first down from the 34. Jones on that roll action left, looking for a block. He gets it from Larry Smith and then runs out of room as he's forced out by Dick Dupuis. It's a gain, however, of about 12 yards.
Well, this is the best hit I've seen so far in this football game. Watch Dan Yoakum as he works on Dave Fennell, number 65. He absolutely destroys him. He comes back on that counter action as Jimmy Jones rolls out to his left.
It will be 2nd and 8. That's the first time we've seen Jones roll out this afternoon. Let's see how successful the Alouettes are now in operating against that 13-mile-an-hour south wind.
We've got the safety blitz, Don. Farlinger, number 18, is coming up there.
Here he goes. And the penalty flag goes down. Safety blitz was in effect, as you called it, Frank.
While we discuss the penalty down or find out what it was all about, we'll take a look at Farlinger, but Faragelli does an excellent job of picking up the Edmonton safety. It's a move that they don't use all that often, and when they do, usually is when Labarato, number 7, is in the football game as a defensive back.
The Alouettes took just a little too long in putting that ball in play. Frank, do you think it had anything to do with the fact that Farlinger was moving up there and Jones may have been trying to audible off it?
It might well have, because he faked that blitz action right before the play started.
It's a repeat of the second down. They have 13 yards to go. Jones in trouble, rolling out of there. He is going to be forced out by Dale Potter back at the 35. That's a further loss of 5 yards. Bill Stevenson and Dave Fennell were both through to apply pressure.
Well, Stevenson does get caught inside briefly. You see him circled right there. Smith is putting the block on him. And this is something they don't want to happen. They don't want Jimmy Jones to be able to get to the outside. You see Smith pinning him into the inside right now. Good job by the Edmonton Eskimo defensive backs, covering those receivers, and forces Jones to run with the football and out of bounds.
And this is the first time that Sonny Wade has kicked the football this afternoon. He has Mike Fink and Larry Highblaw back. He's kicking into that wind, and that ball hangs up there. It bounces to Fink at the 45. A penalty flag goes down, and I think the Alouettes will be charged with no yards.
Appeared to me to be Tony Proudfoot, down number 68. Or I believe he's just a little upset about it. Only a 30-yard kick by Wade.
This is something that both coaches were concerned about in preparing for the game this week as to what the wind conditions would be on Grey Cup Day. They were hoping that they would be low. However, with a breeze blowing out of the south at least 13 miles per hour, it has affected the kicking game.
By far the best field position the Eskimos have enjoyed so far today.
Tom Wilkinson still at the controls of the Eskimos. Going to Konahowski on the sidelines. He has a first down. He loses the football, but it's knocked out of bounds. Wally Buono and Dickie Harris were the men who made contact with the Edmonton receiver.
This is about the fourth time they've thrown the football in the same way in the same area. You see Konahowski right here, number 72, just a quick breakout pattern. Bootleg action by Tom Wilkinson with Joe Warbeck, number 54, the offensive guard, out in front leading him.
12:09 is the time left in this second quarter. It's a first down for the Eskimos as the ball is at the 40 of the Alouettes. Roy Bell hit initially by Finucci. He spun away, but Finucci got help from a number of other people. That's Mike Fink at the Edmonton bench. We now look at this 2nd and 9 play. Movement at the line of scrimmage again. This time the penalty flag goes down. The deep throw for Konahowski. Can't hang on. He was in behind Tony Proudfoot, but he couldn't hang on.
See the offside judges, number 75, clearly encroaching upon that line of scrimmage. Konahowski should have had this football.
That Alouette defensive unit, as Finucci, Judges, Weir, and Ayu up front, Buono, Cronell, and Widger are the linebackers. Harris, Proudfoot, Gaines, Rhino, and Price are the defensive backs. Knocked down by Dickie Harris, intended for John Konahowski once again.
Did a good job on the play, Don, because he was actually covering George McGowan. He just came back to help out.
It is now 3rd and 4 for the Eskimos, and into the game comes placement kicker Dave Cutler. Rather interesting to watch Cutler come onto the field of play. He always leaves the bench and runs onto the field at the 35-yard line. I asked him once if he was superstitious. He said, no, not at all, but I'm not taking any chances.
How do you believe that? A guy runs onto the 35 every time and he's not superstitious?
He's kicking this one from the 40. That number represents the number of field goals he kicked this year in regular season play, and that one is good. For fans who may not be too familiar with our Grey Cup venue, McMahon Stadium is located on the western outskirts of Calgary. It's a facility owned by the University of Calgary on land leased from the city of Calgary for 99 years. When that lease expires, I don't think too many of us will have to worry about it. A first down from the 35. Jones dropping straight back. Trying to screen to Johnny Rogers. It's incomplete. Frank, you know, it's interesting. One of the rule changes this year is that the team scored against in a field goal is the option of having the other team kick off or scrimmaging from the 35. With that strong wind, nobody wants the ball kicked off.
Well, the only kickoff we had, of course, was the opening kickoff of the football game, and we saw Mike Fink almost stepped out of bounds in his own 5-yard line. An excellent kick and good coverage by the Alouette.
Both teams, Edmonton with Dave Cutler and the Alouettes with Don Fleet, have kickers capable of putting that ball into the end zone, even without the strong wind that is blowing. 2nd and 10 from the 35. Jones to Peter Dallareva. The big tight end has a first down and then some out to the 49 with Dan Kepley coming over to make the tackle. Many people consider Dallareva the best tight end in the CFL. Jones has not used him too much, but it was effective there.
I think Dan Kepley was a little upset with himself, number 42, the middle linebacker of the Eskimos, because he's the fellow responsible for the big tight end on those short checkoff patterns. See Kepley dropping back to provide coverage and just ignores De La Riva completely. Coming back against the flow. Good catch by Peters.
From the 49, it's a first down for the Alouettes as we swing back to live action. The draw play with Larry Smith. Good hole, and the fine Canadian running back has a gain of 15. Wayne Mathern stopped his progress at the 45.
Well, the fellow that should have made the stop was Dave Fennell, number 65, but he just takes too wide a charge on the play. Conrad, the offensive center, got a piece of Fennell.
9:05 is the time left in the half. Pitch to Johnny Rogers. He fumbles the football, but I think the whistle had gone. It's recovered by Tom Laputka, but I believe the whistle had sounded before the ball skipped away from Rogers.
John, you know, before the football game, we talked about Kepley and his ability to get out to the outside, the range that he has. And watch him here. He's number 42, and he makes the initial stop on Johnny Rogers. Good block by Smith on Dupuis right in front of the ball carrier Rogers. And that was a close call.
Junior Ayu, the defensive star of 74. Caragelli dives straight ahead, but that's a first down as he's to the 33. Again, Wayne Mathern came over to make the tackle.
You see the double team on Bill Stevenson there. That's Randall and De La Riva. They do a great job against the big rookie for the Eskimos.
8:11 is the time left in this first half. The most interesting halftime show. We're going to have a miniature stampede of all things. A swing pass to Larry Smith on the sidelines. He is forced out of bounds at the 27 by Mike Fink.
Good example again, Don, of the pressure that this Alouette offensive ball club is putting on those linebackers, swinging those backs out of that backfield. And Potter was about 20 yards deep, so Smith has picked up a 7-yard gain.
Smith has been one of the prime pass receivers for the Alouettes all season, catching 52 of them during regular season action and scoring 5 touchdowns. Pete Lavorato goes into the game. Dick Dupuis comes out for Edmonton. 2nd and 4. The big fullback, Caragelli, has a first down to the 21, tackled by Bill Stevenson. We have another timeout, and the score is Montreal 6 and Edmonton 3, and the 1975 Grey Cup continues in a moment. For obvious reasons, these young ladies are referred to as the Cuties. And there's another cutie, Miss Grey Cup, Wendy Miles. She's doing a little babysitting job this afternoon for our Prime Minister, holding 5-year-old Justin Trudeau. A first down from the 22. Jones with that roll action left. Rob McLaren does an excellent job defensively, forcing Jones out for a loss perhaps of 2.
Don, this is something Coach Ray Ox told us before the football game they might have to do, and that's bring that linebacker to the strong side when Jones rolls out. The defensive end's just got a terrible job trying to contain this fellow. When he gets outside, he can run with the football.
Jones initially may have been looking into the end zone for Johnny Rogers. However, with McLaren in hot pursuit, he had no alternative but to step out of bounds for a loss of 2 at 2nd and 12, back at the 24. This is the deepest penetration either team has made against the wind. Incomplete. And Peter De La Riva is protesting that he was tripped up by John Farlinger. And I think that's worth another look, Frank.
But Don, the first thing we're going to look at, though, is the pressure that Ron Este applies on Jones, because this is the closest they've come to getting to the Montreal quarterback. He's working against Dan Yoakum, number 67, and gets rid of him right there at the 30-yard line. He hits Jones just as he releases the football. Now take a look and see if it was interference. Here's another shot at that pressure coming from right defensive end, Ron Este.
Don Sweet, who is 2 for 2 in the field goal department with his third attempt of the game, and it is wide this time. Larry Highbaugh in the end zone, trying to get outside of Mike Finucci. He does, and then he runs it out of bounds. So it's a single point for the Montreal Alouettes. And they now increase their advantage to 4. They lead 7-3 with 6:15 remaining in the second quarter.
Ron, I really didn't like that play by Highball, running around back in that end zone with a football. He had no chance at all of getting out of the end zone. He's taking a chance on fumbling the football.
Let's go down now to Bill Stevenson.
Right now, that if you wonder if anybody's cold, all you have to do is look at us. You cold, Frankie?
Just a little, Billy. She's nippy.
Frankie Morris is the director of player personnel for the Edmonton Eskimos. Frankie, what do you think about the game thus far and the way the Eskies are playing?
Going pretty well, Bill. Husky puts that one away. We're in good shape. One thing we have to do, we have to start and block their 2 defensive ends. They're killing us offensively. They've taken our running game away from us. We can handle them. We can start to move the ball more.
Thank you very much, Frankie Morris.
Well, when you talk about moving the ball, one sure way to do it is throw it to George McGowan.
Don, and Frank talked about containing those big defensive ends. Watch Larry Watkins working against Junior IU here. He does a good job on him.
The live action, it's a first down at the 53. Roy Bell inside, again, has his progress halted at the midfield stripe by Junior IU.
A very poorly run play, Don, and I'll show you the reason right here. Watch Willie Martin. He's trying to cross behind Bob Howells, the offensive center, and they get caught up together.
Well, there's a fan who is showing no preference. Intended for Konahowski. Tyrone Walls was also wide open.
Don, I'm not sure he was throwing to Konahowski. The ball was certainly almost dead between he and Walls. And I think you're absolutely right. Walls was wide open. Much better than Konahowski.
Well, last week, Tom Wilkinson in the Western Final against Saskatchewan had difficulty moving the ball, and he was replaced by Bruce Lemmerman in the second half. We may have a repeat of that in this 75 Grey Cup. Now Johnny Rogers drops back along with Dickie Harris. It's a punting situation for the Eskimos. Gary Lefebvre kicking with the wind. An end-over-end boot that is taken by Rogers at the 15. You always have to be concerned every time Johnny Rogers gets that football. If you're the kicking team, he can break a game wide open, as the Ottawa Rough Riders will quickly attest.
Actually, the Eskimos have done a pretty good job on coverage, Don. They limited Rogers to 7 yards on that one. Four minutes and 13 seconds remaining in the first half.
Ray Yark, for the third straight year, trying to win the Grey Cup. He lost to the Ottawa Rough Riders 2 years ago and to the Alouettes last year. From the 23, it's a first down play with Steve Faragelli. A penalty flag goes down. Ron Este made the tackle on Faragelli. It's a gain of about 3.
Let's take a look at Este number 55, who makes a stop on the play. He beats the block once again at Dan Yoakum, 67. The penalty is being assessed against the Edmonton Eskimos. Don, did you pick up what it was?
Well, we'll wait for referee Bill Fry to illustrate it for us. Rough play was the infraction against the Eskimos, and that moves the ball out to the 42. Faragelli was all by himself at the 48. Frank, that Montreal offensive line has given Jimmy Jones all sorts of time to throw.
We've only seen one occasion where he's had any pressure by Estate at one time, and he's having a lot of success throwing to those backs coming out of the backfield. It's been Smith most of the time, but Farragelli on that occasion.
Ball is now at the 48 of the Eskimos. It's a first down for the Alouettes. They lead 7-3. Pitch to Larry Smith. Whoa, he ran into Ron Este. He straightened him up at the 45.
6.
Well, this seems to be the era of banners and signs in stadia all across the country. There's messages supporting both sides and even teams that are not involved in Grey Cup activity. On second down, Jones throwing incomplete. It's intercepted. Picked off by Larry Highbaugh. He is upset by Dallareva at the 40. It was intended for Johnny Rogers.
We see the pressure coming from Dan Kepley, 42, the middle linebacker of the Eskimos. The first time that we've picked up a blitz in this quarter by the Eskimos. First turnover in this football game.
A 15-yard interception return by Larry Highbaugh. And the Eskimos now have a first down. The ball is at their own 40. Lang goes wide right. McGowan comes left. Roy Bell trying to get outside. And the left side of that Montreal defensive unit piles them up at the 45.
Done a little earlier in the football game, we pointed out an occasion where Calvin Harrell missed a block. Watch him this time. Takes on Wally Bono and drives him back about 6 yards. That's really been the key all year long why Roy Bell has been successful in running the football.
A rule that he made contact between the 43 and the 44, so it will be 2nd and 6.5. Wilkinson throwing complete to McGowan for a first down. He is upset at the 53 by Mike Widger.
I don't really think McGowan was the primary receiver on this play, but Wilkie finds him, and George makes a good catch amongst the several Alouette defenders.
Where is that Chinook?
We keep hearing these strange voices from those cold benches.
I think that was Don Chevrier.
Good fake by Wilkie. Now he's in trouble, and he's brought down, and that was Gordon Judges. Wilkinson made a good fake initially, but Gordon Judges then broke through and in pursuit caught Wilkinson. That's Larry Highbaugh, the man who intercepted the pass intended for Johnny Rogers to give the Eskimos possession in the dying moments of this first half. But now it's a 2nd and 20 setup for the Eskimos. Ball is at the 42. Wilkinson again in trouble. Another penalty flag goes down. And that was Gordon Judges once more.
This was an attempted blitz by Cornell down, but watch Willie Martin, number 50, as he picks up the big middle linebacker of the Alouettes. Pressure once again from Judges, who just sacked Wilkie for that 11-yard loss.
A holding infraction against the Eskimos is declined.
Here's another look at it from ground level, and you see number 75, 2 occasions in a row, dumping Tom Wilkinson. Of course, 75 is Gordon Judges.
A minute and 17 seconds remaining in this first half. It's 3rd and 30.
Might see a reverse here between Harris and Rogers in this return, fellas.
Okay, Chef. Dave has averaged 31.8 yards per kick this afternoon. He gets away a good boot with that win. Johnny Rogers back to his own 28. Look out for this man. Back to the 44, tackled by Dan Kepley, and with just 50 seconds left in the half, the Owls again have good field possession.
And the key block was provided by Proudfoot, number 68. He should appear on your screen right here. Just outside of you. He got a block on Tom Towns, number 20.
A first down for the Owls. The ball is at the 44 of the Eskimos. The Alouettes lead 7-3. Swing pass to Larry Smith. He managed to hang on, avoided the initial contact by Wayne Mathern, but apparently was forced out of bounds.
Whether you notice it or not, gentlemen, it's starting to snow down on the field, and that Chinook that Chevy was talking about, the weatherman Don says it's coming tomorrow, not today. And the most popular spot behind the bench of the Eskimos is the heat tunnel, where the players are now congregating every time they come off the field.
They feel like Hawaii, those tunnels.
That's a new punt return record for a Grey Cup game for Johnny Rogers, 37 yards. Let's see if the Alouettes can take advantage. No, Jones gets no chance. Ron Este dropped him for a loss with just 17 seconds left in the half.
Well, Este does his job here of containing Jones, and he gets help from Leputka and Dan Kepley from the inside.
Some people suggested that this 75 Classic would be a defensive struggle. So far, that assessment has proven extremely accurate. On third down, the punt return pair of Highbaugh and Fink had gone back. However, I think the Alouettes are going to run out the clock. Time has officially expired. Jones going for broke. It's incomplete. And that should be the final play of the half. And it is, with the Alouettes retiring to the dressing room with a 7-3 advantage on a pair of field goals by Don Sweet and a single point by Sweet on a field goal attempt that was wide. The scoring for the Eskimos, a field goal from 40 yards away by Dave Cutler.
Hello, everybody. I'm Pat Marsden, and with me is Mike Wadsworth. We started in July, and we're going to wrap it all up today because this is the final game of the 1975 season, and it's been a real good first half, Mike. A good, tough defensive half, as most people anticipated. But now the question is, are they going to open up in the final 30 minutes?
Well, I think they're going to have to, Pat. As you pointed out, it's been a long season, so it comes down to this last 30 minutes. I think that the Eskimos, as we pointed out during the course of our highlights, are going to want to come with a greater pass rush to try to prevent the passing of Jimmy Jones. And if they can thwart the Montreal attack, get some field position, they've got to establish that running game, but primarily go to George McGowan. You don't have a weapon like McGowan and not go to him more often than they have in this first half of play.
Well, it's only 7-3, and everybody, of course, remembers last week's classic Western Conference final when the Edmonton Eskimos, who were trailing, came on with 22 points in the fourth quarter. We've got excellent field conditions, so don't be at all surprised if the points do come in this second half. It was like two boxers feeling each other out. They were trying to just find out what the other one was doing defensively. And, Mike, I wouldn't be a bit surprised if we had some major scoring fairly early in the third quarter, and we're going to have to wait and see exactly what we do have. Boy, what a tremendous halftime show that was. Everybody was extremely jubilant, and an air of nationalism just swept through this stadium with 33,000 people in the stands and another 1,000 on the field. And we know that wherever you're watching from coast to coast in our land, that you must have enjoyed it because it was a great show to see. We're just awaiting the return of both these clubs, the Montreal Alouettes, who went into Ottawa last week and were very heavily underdogs in that game, put it all together just as they had done in the semifinal to knock off Hamilton, played extremely well last week, earned the right to the Grey Cup game, and are playing very well at this point. And the Edmonton Eskimos, well, they were the best team in Canada over the course of the year.
I don't think anybody can dispute that, Pat, and you know they could so easily have led at the halftime had John Konahosky been able to hold on to that pass. As Frank and I discussed during our highlights, they've been throwing the combination pattern short to Konahosky in behind the clearing patterns of George McGowan. Finally, Tom Wilkinson elected to go for that deep seam pattern to Konahosky. It worked because he was open. The ball was well delivered. But, of course, those things will happen, as you know, from covering these games for so many years. you could just come up with that one drive play that'll be remembered for a long time.
Well, there's a look at what happened in the first 30 minutes of this ball game, and you can see Montreal did have a decided edge because of the passing attack that Jimmy Jones was able to generate, 108 yards, and he did find those swing men and also Peter Della Riva for a good gain on one particular occasion. But listen, with a 7-3 score, you got to know that this is going to be tight right down to the wire, and that's we're so pleased to be doing the final 30 minutes of this 1975 season. 10-7 were the first downs in favor of the Alouettes, and this is their kind of ball game. They don't do anything particularly fancy. They just keep coming, coming, and coming.
And I was going to point out, Pat, if I'm not mistaken, the Eskimos had won the toss and had the initial election for the first half, so it's now the Alouettes' election. We'll see whether or not they elect to have the win for that fourth quarter.
Well, let's go down and see what's new with Don Chevrier. Chef?
Just want to say hello to Ron Goodman of CFL Properties, Pat. He's just back from hospital after open heart surgery, and we wish him the very best now that he's back home once again. Pat?
Well, thank you, Chevy, and referee Bill Fry has just called the captains to the center of the field because now, as Mike pointed out, it is Montreal's election, whether they want the ball or whether, in fact, they will want the advantage of the wind in the fourth quarter. They're talking it over right now. That decision will be forthcoming, and in case you missed the first 30 minutes of this ball game, it was 7 points for Don Sweet on 2 field goals and a single point, and a 40-yard field goal by Dave Cutler, and that's the way it stands, 7-3 in favor of the Montreal Alouettes. The Edmonton Eskimos will be receiving the ball to start the third quarter. The Montreal Alouette defensive unit, which did such a good job, huddling on the far side, and now they are set to go. And though it is an excellent day for football in Calgary, it's not Fort Lauderdale.
Well, Coach Marv Levy obviously has great faith in his defense because in this third quarter, with the score being so tight, he's elected to give the Eskimos both the wind and the ball. That, of course, being because he wants that win factor in the fourth quarter.
Well, it worked very effectively for Coach Ray Yock. So really, last week in that Western Conference final, he made the same decision. And now as we look, it is Larry Highbaugh, number 13 at the top of your screen, and number 22, Fink, to return this kickoff from Sweet, who will kick it away from the 45-yard line. 33,000 people know that all the action is going to come in the final 30 minutes. Charlie Turner stands on the sideline. He will be there when the Alouettes prepare to put the ball into play from scrimmage. And the pressure will be on the Montreal defensive unit, and we'll talk about them after we see what happens with the kickoff in this second half.
Well, we saw when they kicked off initially the great coverage they gave to it at the top of the first quarter. We'll see if they can equal that kind of coverage here.
Let's see now if Sweet elects to go deep because the speedsters are there in Highbaugh and Fink. He squibs it down. Roy Bell has it at the 30. And again, good coverage by that Montreal Alouette defensive unit as Tony Proudfoot was there to wrap him up at the 36-yard line, and that's where the Edmonton Eskimo offensive unit will take over. Only a 35-yard kickoff, but even more important, just a 6-yard return. And in at quarterback to start this third quarter of play, Bruce Lemmerman, as he came on in relief a week ago in the Western Final. Let's see if Lemmerman can get the Edmonton Eskimo offense moving. Pass is good to the 47-yard line to McGowan. The stop made by Tony Proudfoot, 68 of the Alouettes, and the pickup will be about 8 yards.
Well, we had suggested that he's their top receiver and they may want to go to him more often. That's who they went to right away. They have to afford so much room to George McGowan because he's such an outstanding receiver. He just did that little bend out to the sideline and had a good advantage on Dickie Harris to set up this 2nd and 1.
Second down. Bruce Lemmerman, number 10, is the quarterback. It's Harrell, 19, and Roy Bell, 14, in the I formation. And the give is to Harrell, who fights his way close for a first down, dropped the ball, Montreal recovered. The first big break of the third quarter. The Montreal Alouettes recover the fumble by Roy Harrell.
Well, we saw these same Montreal Alouettes put up a great goal line stand against the Ottawa Rough Riders. And it was the left side of their defensive line that was primarily responsible for that big stop a week ago. Again, it was that left side that hit the running back for the Eskimos, immediately got him off balance and eventually caused that fumble.
Gene Gaines with the crunching tackle that knocked the ball out of the hands of Calvin Harrell. First down, Montreal at the Edmonton 48. Larry Smith in the reverse to Johnny Rogers. Rogers all the way down to the Edmonton 32-yard line. The stop was made by Larry Highbaugh.
Well, Larry Smith has been known to carry the ball, but he's also worked this reverse with Johnny Rogers. But watch number 30, Dale Potter, right there, who had gotten penetration from his linebacking position. But Rogers, just through the sheer strength of his running ability, got him way to the outside and cut it back to the middle for a big gain.
Ball at the 32, and this is Faragelli. Into the 26-yard line. The stop was made by the middle linebacker, Dan Kepley. And let's go downstairs to Don Chevrier.
All right, here's Dave Braggins, and I know you'd love to be in there, but you got a little problem with your jaw right now.
Yes, it's kind of hard to talk, and it's kind of hard to sit on the sidelines.
You know what? I don't sound much better. It's so cold out here, I can't talk either, but the Alouettes are moving, Dave.
Yeah, I think they're doing real well.
Listen, good luck with that injury of yours, and hope you get some Christmas turkey at least. On from now, Dave Braggins.
2nd and 4, and this is Faragelli. Has the first down. All the way into the 10-yard line, and again, Kepley, 42, made the stop, but not before the big rambler from Rutgers University, Faragelli, picks up the first down.
Well, it appeared that they're just blocking man-on-man here with Larry Smith once again being the lead block, getting Dale Potter caught to the inside, and Faragelli, for a big man, shows good speed to the outside to pick up that gain.
The ball is just outside the Edmonton 10-yard line. First down, Montreal. Jones will keep it himself and gets into about the 7 for a pickup of 3. Dick Dupuis did a good job of turning the play in. It was an option really for Jones, and he decided to keep it. Actually, the pickup is closer to 4, so make it 2nd down, 6 yards to go Montreal, and they can get the first down without scoring the major.
They only had one receiver deep, that being Joe Petty in the end zone. Delariva and Smith were there to try to effect interference for Jones, and as a result, the secondary could move right up and string it out as you described, Pat, so as to limit the gain.
2nd down, 6 yards to go. The ball at the Edmonton 6.5. Johnny Rogers. Rogers into about the 3. The stop was made by Tom Laputka, 61. The Alouettes will be short of the first down and will really have a decision to make. Do they go for it or do they go for the field goal? It is 7-3 in favor of the Owls with just 4 minutes left, or rather 4 minutes gone in this third quarter, and they're going to go.
Well, I'll tell you, that's a tough call by Coach Marv Levy. You just hate to get down this far and come away dry if they are unsuccessful in their third down gamble.
It is 3rd and 3.5 yards to go, Montreal. Johnny Rogers dropped the ball, has it again, does not have the first down. Dale Potter knocked him out of bounds.
Well, you see that Johnny Rogers on this play is very fortunate to even be able to hold on to possession because he let it go right there. But that Edmonton defense, which has been doing a good job reacting to the outside, forces them out well short.
The score is Montreal 7, Edmonton 3. The 1975 Grey Cup continues in a moment. Alouette head coach Marv Levy gambled and lost, but as a result of the fact that the Alouettes did not score the major, they have turned the ball over to the Eskimos, who are in terrible field position at their own 2.5-yard line, and of course they've got to get something going in this third quarter with the win.
Which was obviously a big factor in Marv Levy's decision to go, because if they were short, of course, they felt they'd have them hemmed in. We'll see whether the Eskimos can get their running attack, which has been very successful over the course of the season, established here. They like to run between the tackles.
Bruce Lemmerman at quarterback in relief of Tom Wilkinson. And he's going to put it up in the air. No good. Intended for McGowan up at the 40-yard line. Lewis Cook and Phil Price over to provide the defensive coverage.
Well, they've been throwing George McGowan on those shorter patterns, but we see him do just a little out and up now on Lewis Cook. Actually has the advantage on him, but the ball is overthrown.
So it'll be 2nd and 10. Edmonton, the ball just inside their 3-yard line. Montreal leads it 7-3. We've got 10 minutes left to play in the third quarter.
Pat, it's now 19 below Celsius here at McMahon Stadium, and it's dropping.
And it feels every bit that cold, Chad. Roy Bell on the draw. Good hit by Wally Bono. Carl Cronell had shut it off, and Bono came in with a good jarring tackle to down the ball carrier, Roy Bell, just outside the 5-yard line. So Gary Lefebvre will be punting.
Well, you try to get those draws as successful plays to try to take some of the heat off the quarterbacks that the front four of the Alouettes have been putting on. But that linebacking core for the Alouettes, which we suggested initially, would be very important in this game, playing very well as they had absolutely corralled Bell and didn't allow him any opportunity to pick a hole.
Lefebvre will stand about 10 yards deep in the Edmonton end zone to kick to Johnny Rogers and Dickie Harris. Good high twisting spiral. Rogers at the 53-yard line. He drops the ball. Edmonton recovers at their 39. A 47-yard punt, a 15-yard return, and then the fumble. Tyrone Walls recovering for the Eskimos.
Well, it appeared there was just a crack for Rogers to get through initially, but there was. Contact was made with him. I couldn't identify the jersey, but obviously the Edmonton Eskimos pick up the second turnover of this third quarter. They had caused their own initially at the top, but now they're getting into position at their own 40 to move in.
First down, Eskimos just inside their 40-yard line. Lemmerman for McGowan, no good. Let's go down to Bill Stevenson.
I've got Sam Bretz, the injured linebacker of the Eskimos, with me. Sam, the turnover, and then first of all, that defensive stand at the goal line must really give a club a lot of lift.
Well, it's got to, and I think that's the thing that we need right now is to get a little momentum on our side. This is a very big quarter in the game. Going with the win, we need to score some points here.
Do you think that Montreal has held a little bit of the play?
Yeah, I think they've played a pretty good game. They managed to score some points when they had to win the first quarter. They came back, controlled the ball in the second quarter. And I think that's what you're going to see here, trying to score and control the ball.
Well, we'll see what happens from here on in. Thank you, Sam Bretz.
Thank you, Bill.
The pass is complete at the 53-yard line. Dickie Harris making a big hit on George McGowan. But what a catch by McGowan.
George McGowan just does a little curl in. You see Dickie Harris staying right with him, giving good effective coverage, but the ball is well thrown. McGowan does an excellent job of holding on this time.
Right on the money. Bruce Lemmerman to George McGowan. First down, Eskimos. And McGowan has had a big day already with 6 receptions. The ball is at the Eskimo 54-yard line. Calvin Harrell. He picks up about 3 or 4. The stop was made by Mike Widger, who just pinched right in the middle.
It appears also that Carl Cronell in the middle does an excellent job as Bob Howes, the center, number 53, tries to block out on him. It's just straight man-on-man for blocking. Howes makes good contact there. Cronell fights his way back into the play and makes the tackle right there.
The pickup is about 3. It'll be 2nd and 7, Edmonton. The ball at the Montreal 53-yard line. 7 minutes, 10 seconds left to play in the third quarter. For McGowan, and it's picked off by Lewis Cook at the 45-yard line. Montreal ball. Cook simply outfought McGowan for the catch. The score is Montreal 7, Edmonton 3. The 1975 Grey Cup continues in a moment. 7-3, Montreal leads it. We've got 6 minutes, 58 seconds left to play in the third quarter, and again, defense is doing a job.
Well, here's Lewis Cook causing yet another turnover in this third quarter. He just out-wrestled George McGowan for that ball.
It is on the Montreal 46. First down, and this is Faragelli. Cut down by Laputka just as he crossed the line of scrimmage. His forward point will probably be a yard and a half maybe.
You know, Pat, Bill Stevenson interviewed Dave Braggins, who was the Eastern nominee for the outstanding offensive lineman. A lot of people wondered whether or not that would have hurt the Alouette offensive output, but Frank Pomerico, the right guard, number 61, has been doing an excellent job. He's working against Dave Fennell. Most Edmonton observers consider him the best man in their front four, and yet he hasn't been putting big pressure on.
The screen to Faragelli. Just a great job by McLaren, who smelled out the screen and actually made the tackle right at the line of scrimmage. And Tom Wilkinson continues to warm up on the sidelines. Obviously, if Lemmerman can't get things going, Wilkie, who quarterbacked the Edmonton club in the first half, will be back in there. But the Alouettes will be punting on 3rd and 8, and that means Sonny Wade will be kicking into the wind to Larry Highbaugh and to Fink, who stand at the 25. Mike Fink, number 22. The injured player is Tom Laputka, who's being helped off the field. Looks to be favoring his right leg. Hopefully it's just a cramp, and of course on a cold day like this, all hits hurt, I'm sure. 6 minutes and 5 seconds left to play in the third quarter. The Alouettes with Sonny Wade will be punting. Turnovers, the big part of this third quarter.
And yet neither one of the offensive clubs, when they've had the benefit of that turnover, have really been able to do anything with it.
Sonny Wade stands at his own 35. Fink on the dead run at his own 35 is nailed immediately by Tony Proudfoot. There are no flags down, although the crowd obviously felt there should have been one.
And back upfield, it's Sonny Wade and Dale Potter going at it after the ball was punted away. The two of them having a little contact, but I didn't see any flag on that one either.
Well, we'll look at it again.
We'll see if we can get Dale Potter coming in here. You see initially with Faragelli, Wade then upsets Potter, and they eventually go at it right there. Sonny Wade, for a quarterback, is looking a little bit more like Frank Wigney used to.
Well, Pat and Mike, we've just been over at the bench. The first player shaken up, Laputka. It is a slightly twisted ankle, so he should be all right. They're working on it now.
The toss goes to Calvin Harrell. Good job by the middle linebacker, Carl Cronell, to stop him just about at the line of scrimmage, which was the 35. 5 minutes and 25 seconds left to play in the third quarter. 7-3. Montreal leads it. All the scoring by the field goal kickers. Don Sweet with 2 successful ones, and then one that went for a single point, and Dave Cutler. The pickup was a couple of yards. The ball is spotted right at the 37-yard line. 2nd and 8, Eskimos. They have the benefit of this 15-mile-an-hour wind in this third quarter. Good to McGowan at the 50. That's a first down. Stop was made by Dickie Harris, but a big first down. Lemmerman to McGowan.
Well, it seems that they're working against Dickie Harris, but actually you couldn't have better defensive coverage. Take a look at it here. McGowan just curling back to that inside. Harris is right on him. The ball is so well thrown, however, and McGowan's certain with the catch. But all of it, of course, is being stretched out, Pat, because of a penalty.
Roughing was the call, and as a result of that penalty, the Eskimos will have excellent field position. First down at the Montreal 45. Listen to this crowd. Lemmerman for Lang. He's got it at the 32, first down. Lewis Cook providing the defensive coverage, but it's a big 13-yard pickup.
Take another look at Stu Lang and this reception. Lewis Cook is affording him a little room to that outside. As you see there, he was well open on the play. Cook's got great speed. He generally tries to lay back, afford the receiver a little room, and then move into the ball. But Lemmerman got a good hard throw into Stu Lang, and there was no chance for Cook to come back to it.
Stu Lang, of course, is the stepson of hockey broadcaster Foster Hewitt, who must be very pleased at that last play. Roy Bell gets to the 30-yard line. No further. Mike Fanucci, the defensive end, just cut him down. So the pickup will be a couple. It'll be 2nd and 8, Eskimos. This, of course, an extremely critical quarter for Edmonton, moving with the benefit of this 15-mile-an-hour wind. They've got 3 minutes and 48 seconds left to play in this quarter. It is Montreal 7, Edmonton 3, all of the scoring in the first half. Bruce Lemmerman, number 10 at quarterback. quickly to McGowan. He's got it for a first down at the 18-yard line, and again in front of Lewis Cook.
An excellent call by Bruce Lemmerman, because the Montreal Alouettes were coming with a full blitz up the middle as Wally Bowana will move in beside number 72, Carl Cornell, right there to come, trying to put the pressure on Lemmerman, but he releases quickly on that little out pattern by McGowan. Cook has to be concerned now about McGowan trying to do that out and up pattern. He's had some success going against him short.
First down at the Montreal 18-yard line. No good, intended for Tyrone Walls. Tony Proudfoot very nearly picked it off. The score is Montreal 7, Edmonton 3. The 1975 Grey Cup continues in a moment.
Take another look right here, and we'll see a little action between Junior Ayew and Joe Warbeck. Warbeck coming over to get that little extra shot into the defensive end. Tempers are starting to flare a little bit, Pat, but they better not lose their poise, because penalties in this kind of a game can be so very vitally important.
We're down to the final 3 minutes of this third quarter. 2nd and 10, Edmonton at the Montreal 18. Tyrone Walls could not squeeze it at the 5-yard line. Right through his hands. He went high in the air, and on this cold afternoon, Bruce Lemmerman delivered the ball right on the money, but Walls couldn't squeeze it.
They're in that spread formation. Tyrone Walls, being split from his tight end position, got wide open in that hook area, but just couldn't hold on to the ball, and well thrown, as you pointed out. A lot of big plays that the Eskimos have had available, they just have not yet been able to click on.
The greatest field goal kicker in CFL history, Dave Cutler, comes out onto the field, and he'll try to make it a 7-6 ball game with an attempt from 25 yards away. It is good. And so with 2 minutes and 31 seconds left to play in the third quarter, Montreal's lead is cut to but 1 point. Montreal 7, Edmonton 6.
And we'll wait and see. It appears as if Marv Levy is electing to go from the 35-yard line as opposed to receiving that kickoff. Frank and Don commented on that happening, of course, in the first half. I have to question the coach's judgment on this. Certainly, he's concerned about the depth of Cutler's kicking with the wind at his back. At the same time, he has two of the most dangerous kickoff returners in the league, and he's not prepared to use them in this game.
He may in the fourth quarter if the opportunity presents itself. First down, Montreal at their 35. This is Larry Smith. Good play by Este. Nailed him back of the line of scrimmage. A loss will be at least a couple.
Ron Este having just an outstanding afternoon with the Edmonton Eskimos. It appeared that they had gotten wide to that side. Johnny Rogers, number 20, and Faragelli, 33, are leading the block, but Este with that good inside-outside pursuit prevents Smith from getting any gain.
And the Alouettes got a bit of a break because the ball was spotted just inside the 35, so really the loss was only about a half yard. 2nd and a long 10. Jones, under pressure, goes down at the 25. Bill Stevenson applying tremendous pressure along with Fred James. And as a result, it'll be 3rd and 20, and the Alouettes will be forced to give up the ball with 1 minute and 30 seconds left to play in the third quarter.
Well, the Eskimos hadn't been putting on great heat, but here you see a tremendous defensive rush by Fred James, number 74, initially getting to Jimmy Jones after he couldn't find an open receiver, and there seems to be a bit of a switch in momentum now to the Western club.
Pat Wade says the wind is fierce, about 20 feet out. He wants to keep this a little lower if he can.
And strangely enough, he puts it fairly high. Highbaugh waits for it at midfield. No yards, flags go down. And so does Highbaugh at about the 53. The ball comes loose. Proudfoot picks it up, but obviously the whistle had blown. It's a 30-yard punt, but there will be the no yards penalty.
Well, of course, that's the problem with the short punts, Pat. As you know, your punt coverage team will get caught inside. It appeared to me to be both 57 Rudy Florio and 68 Tony Proudfoot that were caught inside that 5-yard restraining zone.
Tom Laputka is not going to be able to go back out right now. They're trying to put some padding on it. James will replace him, but Laputka has been using an ice pack to try and get that swelling down, and they're now wrapping his ankle.
Roy Bell, nowhere to go, and he goes down right at the line of scrimmage. Junior Ayu, who's having just another big game, upending him right at the line of scrimmage. And so it'll be 2nd and 10 Eskimos. The ball right on the Montreal 45-yard line. We're into the final minute of the third quarter. Montreal 7, Edmonton 6. Bell has carried the ball 10 times for 21 yards today. Lemmerman going deep for Konahowski. No good. Lewis Cook went high in the air to bat the ball away from Konahowski. Again, the ball was well thrown by Lemmerman.
They've been putting Konahowski with McGowan most often, but here he's singled to that left side, just running that deep seam pattern. Lewis Cook does a fine job, who's in that deep outside coverage, coming back into the middle with him, and very nearly picking it off for another turnover.
Well, we're going to have a 52-yard field goal attempt by Dave Cutler as we see the training staff working on Tom Laputka. Tom Wilkinson will spot it at the 52, and if Cutler is good, he can put the Eskimos out in front for the first time in this game. It is good. On the final play of the third quarter, Dave Cutler is good from 52 yards. And so the score is Edmonton 9, Montreal 7. The 1975 Grey Cup continues in a moment.
Here's to the everyday things that end up being everything. Here's to all things simple, with casual clothing and footwear from Marks.
Dave Cutler with a new Grey Cup record, 52 yards. He has accounted for all of Edmonton's points as the Eskimos grab a 9-7 lead, and Don Sweet has accounted for all the points for the Montreal Alouettes. And there you see the tribute to Dave Cutler.
Pat, we've seen a number of balls dropped and several fumbles in the third quarter of play. We've also heard the reports from Don Chevrolet and Bill Stevenson about how the thermometer is dropping very quickly in this fourth quarter. If that continues to happen, we may see even more turnovers yet that will eventually determine the outcome of this game.
I'll tell you guys, it's not going up.
No, and it doesn't feel like it is either, Chevy. Let's see now if Cutler will put it deep to Johnny Rogers, Dickie Harris, or Lewis Cook. Or will he try to squib it? This is the first opportunity that the Montreal Alouettes have had to put their kickoff return unit into play, because all the other times, Cutler would have been kicking with the wind. And you see that they are having a few problems with the clock as they try to get it back now to 15 minutes, because that's what's left to play in this 1975 CFL season. Edmonton 9, Montreal 7. And those who forecasted it would be a low-scoring game must have known that the defenses would come up big this afternoon. Bruce Lemmerman talking it over with George McGowan, trying to get things organized so that when the Eskimos get back on the field, they'll have it all copacetic.
In terms of the Montreal Alouettes in this fourth quarter of play, now that they're at a disadvantage, they've only gone to Peter Delariva once in the course of three quarters. He, of course, was their leading receiver throughout the course of the regular season. We'll see whether or not Jimmy Jones or Sonny Wade, if he gets in, comes back to try to make better use of their tight end.
And, of course, the strategy changes now for both these clubs, because the Alouettes will be working with this 15-mile-an-hour wind. A little squib kickoff that Buono has to take because Wayne Mathern was coming down crashing on him. Buono fields the ball and is upended at the 48-yard line, so it was only a 28-yard kickoff, but there was no run back. However, excellent field position as Tom Wilkinson continues to warm up on the Edmonton sideline. We are just underway, and now referee Bill Fry has called time because he wants to get this clock situation in order.
Well, the reason the clock's having so much trouble is the fact that it's minus 10 Celsius, but on top of that, there's a 10-mile-an-hour wind, and the combination is putting it down to something like, as Don said earlier, in the 20s, minus 20 to 25 Celsius with the wind chill factor. I don't know what it works out to Fahrenheit, except that it's cold.
Well, Bill, we're very thankful for the heaters up here, and we can only say we're a little sorry for you down there.
Bruce Lemmerman looking on from the sidelines, and also on the sidelines is Tom Laputka, who was injured in the third quarter. Fred James is replacing him at defensive tackle. It is first down, Montreal at their 48. Jones swings it out to Smith. There's a flag down. And Smith is upended by Wayne Mathern after he had managed about 4 yards, but let's wait and see what referee Bill Fry's decision will be on that flag thrown in the Montreal offensive backfield. He's discussing it with Ron Estes, so I think we can assume it's probably against Montreal and likely for holding. That's what it is. The Eskimos accept the penalty. It will be first down over again, 20 yards to go, back at the Montreal 38, and field position is very important.
Well, let's see if we can pick up that holding call. Ron Estes was trying to put some pressure against Dan Yoakum, who seemed to leave his hands on his sweater a little bit too long, and that could very well have been the reason why that flag was thrown.
First down, Alouettes. We are just underway in the final quarter of the 75 season. The draw to Johnny Rogers. He did a great job to get out to the 43-yard line because he was nailed behind the line of scrimmage. Dave Fennell exerting tremendous pressure, but Rogers was able to escape his grasp and pick up about 4 yards when it appeared he might lose about 5.
You have to almost redraw as a defensive lineman when you see number 20 remaining in that backfield. It's not usual that they're going to keep Johnny Rogers in only as a blocking back.
Rob McLaren and Dick Dupree made the stop for Edmonton. It is 2nd and 16, Montreal. The swing goes to Larry Smith. And he's cut down by Wayne Mathern, who did a great job in the open field on the Montreal running back.
Well, Wayne Mathern has done that same kind of job several times now. We saw him at the end of the second quarter stop Smith for no gain. On the previous play, Smith got very little again. There seemed to be open running room, but it's the discipline of that defense to the left side. Dale Potter from the inside, Mathern as the inside safety moving up in that flat coverage, reacting to that swing pass and nullifying any gain.
Mike Fink at the bottom of your screen, Larry Highbaugh at the top, awaiting this punt from Sonny Wade. Highbaugh back at his 12-yard line. And finally runs out of room at the 23. Joe Petty was down quickly as he had that sideline sealed off. And the Eskimos, after that 50-yard punt by Sonny Wade and the 11-yard run back, will be starting inside their 25-yard line.
You know, we've talked so much about the punt return ability of Johnny Rogers. Larry Highbaugh, the Edmonton Eskimos, has an outstanding punt return average of just over 16 yards, so that you know he's a real threat.
Tom Wilkinson comes back in to run the Edmonton offense. He gave way in the third quarter to Bruce Lemmerman. Wilkie, who went all the way in the first half, is back at the controls for the Eskimos. Number 12. Roy Bell, good hold. Has the first down. Phil Price rides him down at the 49-yard line. What a run by Roy Bell. 24 yards to pick up.
Well, the Eskimos have not established any kind of a running threat until this point, but you see center Bob Howe's doing a great job on Carl Cornell, and 60 Charlie Turner came over to seal him off. The middle opened up, and Roy Bell did a great deal of good running on his own with tremendous balance and strength.
The ball is spotted at the Edmonton 49. No good, intended for Bell. The ball slipped through his hands. Tony Proudfoot hit him the moment that it got there, and Bell appears shaken up on the play. 12 minutes and 14 seconds left to play in the fourth quarter, as Bain Norrie goes into the ball game in place of the injured Roy Bell, who is still down on the field right at the midfield marker. And again, it appears to be a leg injury.
Well, we can only hope for Eskimo fans and the benefit of this game, too, that such an outstanding performer like Roy Bell will not be out too long. It appears that they're just looking at that right leg area right now.
The score is Edmonton 9, Montreal 7, and the 1975 Grey Cup continues in a moment.
Well, Pat, if Roy Bell cannot come back in the fourth quarter, it may be a bad loss for the Eskimos. So let's take another look at that play. Well, this is a 24-yard scamper just prior to his injury. That shows how important he is to the offense. It was the next pass play, however, where Roy Bell was the intended receiver. We don't have time to look at it right now, but Tony Proudfoot reacted up very quickly, and you could see how it was that the right knee was injured, and they're working on it there on the bench.
Second down, 10 yards to go from the Edmonton 49. Wilkie for Stu Lang, no good. Mike Finucci and Wally Bono putting the pressure on Tom Wilkinson, intending it for Stu Lang, but it was not there.
It appeared that Lang had a bit of an edge on the defender, but Wilkinson, because of the good pressure that was there, had to throw on the dead run. And, of course, when you're not planted, you don't have the same accuracy to your pass that you would hope for.
11 minutes and 53 seconds as Johnny Rogers, number 20, and Dickie Harris, number 18, in their respective senior years in college football south of the border, they led the nation in punt returns. Gary Lefebvre stands at his own 35-yard line on 3rd and 10 to punt for Edmonton. It hangs up. Rogers on the dead run at the 38 is surrounded and goes down. Bob Howes made the downfield tackle, number 53 for the Eskimos. It was a 24-yard punt and only a 1-yard return, which shows you that the Eskimos are covering their punts extremely well.
They're containing Rogers, who is so much of a threat, but again, it's the short punt game that allows the punt return team to give such excellent coverage to and doesn't allow the returner as much of an opportunity to set up his blocking.
First down, Montreal at the Alouette 38-yard line. Faragelli. He's out over the 45 to the 46. The stop was made by Dan Kepley, the middle linebacker.
Well, again, it's Larry Smith, number 36, that right halfback, who does an excellent job on the lead block. We'll see him go against number 30, Dale Potter, to the outside, driving him back a good 4 to 5 yards and giving Faragelli that running room.
The pickup by Faragelli was 8 yards. They spotted at the 46, 2nd and 2, Montreal. Again, this is Faragelli. Flags go down. He has the first down. He's all the way into the Eskimo 52-yard line.
And I would bet it's going to be a legal motion against left guard number 52, Ray Watrin of the Montreal Alouettes, Pat. I noticed a little movement just prior to the snap of the ball, and that first down pickup by Faragelli is going to be taken away.
You're exactly right, Mike, and what a big penalty that is, because the Alouettes had picked up the first down, but now they will be 2nd and 7 yards to go. Let's go down to Bill Stevenson.
Well, I've got Mike Lambros with me, the injured outside linebacker. Mike, what do you think about the way this game's going?
Well, Bill, I think we're starting to loosen up a little bit. I think the first half we were pretty high and pretty tight, and I think now we're starting to settle down, play the game plan that we had devised for this occasion, and now things are starting to gel a little bit for us.
Do you think the momentum's going your way?
I think it's starting to, Bill. Even though now we're into a stiff win in the fourth quarters, I think things are starting to gel for us, yes.
Thank you very much, Mike Lambros.
The pass intended for Larry Smith was incomplete, and so on 3rd and 7, the Montreal Alouettes will be forced to punt.
I haven't yet seen Sonny Wade warming up on the sideline to throw the ball. I'm surprised that he hasn't been instructed to do so by Marv Levy, because Jimmy Jones has been pretty stultified in his play calling. He's coming continually back to that swing pass to Smith, and the Eskimos have started to corral him.
Highbaugh at his 20-yard line. Runs into Mike Widger right at the 30, and that's where the Eskimos will take over. We have a little shoving match going on between number 60, Gary Chown, after that 48-yard punt and a 9-yard return. Tom Wilkinson will come back in at quarterback for the Eskimos with 9 minutes and 49 seconds left to play in regulation time, and the Eskimos lead it 9-7. First down, Edmonton. The ball is just inside their own 30-yard line. So now the pressure reverts to the Montreal Alouettes and their defensive unit. We're talking about Finucci, Judges, Weir, and Ayew, the front four. Guano, Crennel, and Widger, the linebackers. Wilkie still has it. And is very close to the first down. Tony Proudfoot and Mike Finucci make the stop for the Alouettes, but it was a fine run by Wilkinson, who is shaken up on the play.
An excellent call by Wilkie as he had his two backs in motion. Norrie and Harrell, as we'll see here, go to that left side. The line itself started to pull to that left as if that's where the action was going to go. The wide receivers were to the right, had run their deep routes, taking the secondary with them. Opened up that alley for Tom Wilkinson in the gain because Mike Finucci and everyone had reacted to that initial motion.
The word on Roy Bell is that it appears to be a torn ligament in the right knee, and so he's definitely out for the game and could be in line for an operation. That was the word of the Edmonton doctor.
Well, that is just the worst kind of news the Eskimos could receive, and of course the worst kind of news that Roy Bell will hear. And we certainly hope that that original diagnosis does not turn out to be factual. Wilkie was just short of that first down. It'll be second and about a half a yard to go for the first down. And Wilkinson remains in the ball game, although shaken up.
He's taking a long time to call a simple short yardage play. Don't be surprised if he fakes the run action.
9 minutes and 15 seconds left to play. Wilkie throws a good call, Mike, intended for Konahowski.
That Montreal secondary, of course, had moved up very tight on the play. You'll see here Carl Crennel and all of them are right in. Gene Gaines is right in behind that line of scrimmage. Konahowski certainly has a couple of steps on Phil Price. Had he been able to get a hold of that ball, it could have been 6 points.
Now it's third and less than a yard to go, and the Eskimos, of course, will be gambling, and this would be the biggest gamble of their 1975 season. Wilkinson keeps it, dives forward, and appears to have the first down. And it is signaled as such by referee Bill Fry. Eight minutes and 50 seconds left to play in the ball game. Edmonton leads it 9-7. We have not had a touchdown scored in the ball game. What a Grey Cup festival and a Grey Cup week it has been. First down, Eskimos at their 40-yard line. Calvin Harrell. Very little running room as he gets out to about the 43-yard line. Glenn Weir, 64, Carl Crennel, and Mike Widger all pinching in to limit the advance by Calvin Harrell to about 2 or 3 yards. Let's credit him with a 3-yard pickup and make it 2nd and 7 Eskimos with 8 minutes left to play in the final quarter.
Well, the Alouettes have been tough to run against all afternoon, as you know, Patrick. Without Bell being a threat in there, it's going to be just that much more difficult now on Harrell.
2nd and 7. Wilkinson is down back at the Eskimo 36-yard line, pinned by Mike Widger, 34. A big loss that will force the Eskimos into a punting situation.
Well, we'll see that great linebacking reaction by Mike Widger, who's lined up to the inside, then drops out with the roll of Wilkinson, comes up on the play, and good work also from the inside by Glenn Weir, the defensive tackle, coming from the left side position. He's just had an outstanding afternoon.
So on 3rd and 13, Gary Lefebvre will be punting to Dickie Harris and Johnny Rogers, and Lefebvre will stand inside his own 25-yard line. 7 minutes, 23 seconds left to play in the ball game. 9-7 in favor of the Eskimos. Johnny Rogers at his own 50 squirts through the midfield and still on his feet. Finally down at the 51-yard line. Bob Howes made the stop, but a great return again by Johnny Rogers. The score is Edmonton 9, Montreal 7. The 1975 Grey Cup continues in a moment. That 25-yard punt by Lefebvre was returned 11 big yards by Johnny Rogers, and as a result, the Alouettes have a first down at the Edmonton 51-yard line with 7 minutes left to play in the ball game. Faragelli. Oh, Kepley, the middle linebacker, was there quickly to nail him. Faragelli managed to pick up 3 yards as the Alouettes will try to grind it out.
Well, Frank Rigney told you about this young man, Dan Kepley, and you'll see him do a great job here. He gets away from the block of Ray Watron right into the action and really gets a good hit on Faragelli before he picks up about 2 or 3.
2nd and 7, Montreal. The ball at the Edmonton 48. They rule the reception is made at the 43-yard line. Skip Eamon making the catch for the Alouettes, who will be short by about 1.5 yards of that first down. Now, what does Coach Marr believe he'll elect to do?
Well, it would be a pretty lengthy field goal attempt, about almost 50 yards for Don Sweet. He hasn't been really good from that distance, Pat. He's got good accuracy inside the 40, but once he gets outside of that range, he's going to try to make those offensive linemen feel 8 feet tall and go for the big one.
It is 3rd down, 1.5 yards to go. Faragelli leaps forward, but there was movement by that Montreal offense. Peter Dallariva appeared to get off the ball very quickly. Now let's wait and see, first of all, whether or not Faragelli made the first down, and if he did not, the Eskimos, I'm sure, will decline the penalty and take over possession.
Little doubt of that, and I don't know. I'm not so certain that he would have made it. They did an excellent job of stacking up that left side of the line.
They bring the sticks up. 5 minutes and 43 seconds left to play in regulation time.
You know, actually, I didn't have a chance to point it out, Pat. There it's short. But on that pass completion that they had to set up that short third and short gamble, as we take another look at it here, tremendous penetration by the left side of that Eskimo defense, and Laverado does an excellent job of coming in behind. But Jimmy Jones had missed Peter Dallariva, who was wide open deep, and they have not been going to their tight end at all, only once in the course of this game.
The illegal procedure penalty is declined. It is first down, Edmonton at their 41.5-yard line with 5:33 left to play. McGowan has it at the 50, hit instantly by Dickie Harris. He'll be short of the first down.
Well, George McGowan continues to run those short out patterns against Dickie Harris. Harris is playing him well, but so long as the quarterback executes and throws the ball well and McGowan can hold on, there's so little you can do because Harris has that deep outside coverage, and if McGowan ever turns up, if he plays him too closely, then it's, of course, a big gainer. So he has to almost afford him those 8 to 10 yard bend out patterns.
On 2nd and 1, Fred James goes in, Konahowski comes out. The give is to Calvin Harrell, who was cut down. There was tremendous penetration by Tony Proudfoot, and I do not believe that he managed that first down marker.
I believe they'll be a good yard short. Here that Finucci and Judges had it well sealed off to the inside. Tony Proudfoot, the inside safety, had moved up in almost a linebacking position, no blocking on him, and he was in an excellent position to destroy that play.
Well, now, Ray Yark has a real problem. It's 3rd and 1. Does he try for the first down and maintain ball possession? Gary Lefebvre has not been punting well. I would almost think, without Roy Bell in there, that he still has to go for it.
Well, if consistency means anything, Pat, the same coach, Ray Yark, earlier in the first half, elected to punt when there was only about a half a yard to go. Certainly now he's got about that full yard, and it appears that he's sending in the kicking game.
With 4 minutes and 30 seconds left to play in the ball game, the Edmonton Eskimos, with a 3rd and 1, will be punting. They lead it 9-7.
And how large looms the gamble that the Alouettes took early in the third quarter, when with 3rd and 4 or 3rd and goal, they opted to go for it, and Johnny Rogers was forced out to that sideline area, and they came away dry because that would have been a point in favor of them right now. They could have had a lead 10-9.
Gary Lefebvre at his own 38, punts, and this is his best of the ball game. Dickie Harris back at his own 15. just great downfield coverage by the Edmonton Eskimos. Pete Lavorato, number 7, and Bob Howes were quickly downfield. That 45-yard punt was returned only 3 yards. And as a result, the Montreal Alouettes will start from deep in their own territory. And Sonny Wade has come in at quarterback with 3 minutes and 55 seconds left to play in the ball game.
He's been in 2 Grey Cups and has not lost one.
The give was to Ferrighelli, but the hole closed very quickly. The middle linebacker, Dan Kepley, was there to make the stop after Ferrighelli appeared to have some running room.
Well, again, it's so vitally important to have that kind of linebacking strength. It appeared that Fennell initially made the first hit on him, but Dan Kepley, in excellent position, had not been blocked at all, and he's putting up a great job of controlling the middle of that defensive line.
3 minutes and 15 seconds left to play in the game. 2nd and 9. Montreal at their 19-yard line. The swing pass to Smith. Nowhere to go. Ron Este making the big play. The loss will be 5 yards, and the Alouettes will have to punt with 3 minutes and 2 seconds left in the ball game.
Well, if Jimmy Jones had become mesmerized by that swing pass to Smith, it appears that Sonny Wade's following the same pattern.
Edmonton 9, Montreal 7, and the 1975 Grey Cup continues in a moment. 3 minutes and 2 seconds left to play in the ball game. Edmonton 9, Montreal 7, and there is Larry Highbaugh standing back at his own 45-yard line. Sonny Wade stands at the Montreal 1 to punt. Highbaugh at his 48. Good return by Larry Highbaugh. Steve Ferrighelli forced him out at about the Montreal 40-yard line with 2:38 left to play. A 48-yard punt, but a sensational 23-yard return by Larry Highbaugh.
And let's see if we can get a little different look from our end zone camera as Highbaugh gets that high drifting ball that should have allowed ample time for the coverage team to get down, and they seem to have him boxed in. But he's got great speed and just manufactured that run almost entirely on his own.
It is first down, Edmonton, as Larry Highbaugh comes off the field. The Eskimos have it at the Montreal 39-yard line. 2 minutes, 38 seconds left to play. Panucci with a big rush. Wilkinson throws no good for McGowan at the 35. Dickie Harris providing the defensive coverage.
Well, they seem to favor putting McGowan against Harris. He's been playing him very closely. On that particular instance, Harris finally was able to come up and knock it away. He's actually been playing a well-controlled game from his cornerback position, not allowing McGowan to get deep on him at all, but he has been threatened by that short pass. Tom Wilkinson also takes quite a shot after he gets rid of this ball. We'll see if we can pick it up right here as Mike Panucci, number 71, is in hot pursuit. Seems to fall a little heavily to that ground, but he's still in the ball game, and he's not bothered by injury at this point.
2 minutes, 32 seconds left to play. Wilkinson has not completed a pass in this half. The ball at the Montreal 39. No good. At the Montreal 31-yard line, Stu Lang made a diving attempt. Wally Buono putting good pressure on the Edmonton quarterback to force a 3rd and 10 situation with 2 minutes and 25 seconds left to play in regulation time. And Dave Cutler, who has accounted for all of Edmonton's 9 points, will try this one against the wind from 46 yards. And if he is successful, that will give the Eskimos a 5-point advantage. If he gets the single, it would narrow the possibilities of ending this season in regulation time, because then the difference would be but a field goal.
Well, he had one earlier in this game for 52 yards, but that was with the wind in his back. He's got a considerably more difficult task.
He's aiming it for the sideline. He was not trying the field goal. Actually, he wanted to kick that single point, but the ball went out of bounds up around the 20-yard line. So rather than punt the ball, Because Gary Lefebvre has not had a particularly good afternoon, Coach Ray Yawk elected to have Cutler kick for the touchline. He did, but it only went 16 yards. 2 minutes, 20 seconds left to play. Montreal first down at the Alouette 23-yard line. Sonny Wade will be putting it in the air. Larry Smith, first down. All the way to the 49-yard line. Larry Highbaugh made the tackle for the Eskimos, but what a big play for the Owls.
And I'll tell you, in this return by Larry Smith, you'll see Peter Delariva come and put a crushing block on Dan Kepley, number 42. There's a little check off the delay to Larry Smith. I don't know that we'll see it. Apparently we aren't going to pick it up, but there was just a tremendous block in the middle linebacker that allowed Larry Smith to pick up that extra running room.
A minute 59 left in the ball game. First down Montreal at their 49. Sonny Wade going deep for Joe Petty. He's got it at the 15-yard line. The saving tackle by Mike Fink, but what a play for the Alouettes. A minute and 45 left in the ball game. 46 yards. The pass completion, Wade to Joe Petty.
Well, it appeared they were playing an inverted zone on that side with Wayne Mathern, the inside safety, having the shallow flat, Mike Fink the outside. How much that fake reverse had to play on Joe Petty getting so wide open, we don't know, but he had that entire sideline.
A minute and 40 seconds left to play in the ball game. Edmonton 9, Montreal 7. Montreal first down at the Edmonton 15-yard line. Faragelli for a couple into about the 13. Tackled by the entire center of that Edmonton secondary. Dan Kepley, Dave Fennell, Tom Laputka, who's back in the ball game.
I don't have to tell you that there's great frustration and a little shock on this Edmonton bench right now. They thought they had the game under control, and now they can see it slipping them from their grasp. You can hear them yelling in the background for that defense to hold.
Second down, 7 yards to go. The ball is spotted at the 12-yard line. A minute, 10 seconds left to play in the ball game. Edmonton 9, Montreal 7. Johnny Rogers into the 10-yard line. He was turned in by Rob McLaren. Ron Este made the stop along with Dan Kepley. And that's the story. A minute and 2 seconds, and the pressure will now be on Don Sweet, who will try the field goal to give the Montreal Alouettes the lead.
Well, Pat, you might wonder why it is Sonny Wade with 2nd and 7 wouldn't have opted to go for the pass and the major score as opposed to just settling for a field goal. But obviously they're concerned about the running of that clock as well. It's now under 1 minute, and they feel that Don Sweet has got good record of accuracy from this distance of 19 yards.
He scored all the Montreal points to this point. And it is no good. No good. 1 point only.
And I'll tell you, Pat, there was a bad hold on that. That wasn't entirely Don Sweet's fault. On the snapback, it appeared that Jones just did not get a good hold of the ball itself. And as a result, it was not properly set up for the kick. There you saw him fumbling with it, and that undoubtedly affected Sweet's timing.
The score is Edmonton 9, Montreal 8, and a very frustrated Marv Levy, standing on the Montreal sideline, cannot believe it. The pass from center was good. Jimmy Jones had trouble handling it. As a result, Don Sweet was not able to put it through, and the Eskimos have only 45 seconds to run the clock. Bruce Lemmerman is in at quarterback. He's turned in by Gene Gaines at the 32-yard line with 40 seconds left to play.
This Edmonton bench is going wild now from frustration and abject sorrow when they thought they were out of it, and the Alouettes were in a position to win it with that field goal. They've now been hopping up and down, slapping each other in the back. They can hardly contain their joy. The Eskimos think that now they've got it with, as you pointed out, 38 seconds left to go. And so it appears the Alouettes are going to have to try and steal that ball. It's all yours, Pat.
Second down, 13 yards to go, 27 seconds left on the clock. Tom Wilkinson is in at quarterback now, replacing Lemmerman. Wilkinson is down with 17 seconds left. And that will be enough because the Eskimos will be able to kill the clock. They'll take all the time in the huddle. Bruce Lemmerman will come onto the field now to replace Tom Wilkinson. And the Eskimos will be able to run the clock as Larry Highbaugh now comes out onto the field.
I think that Bruce Lemmerman and Tom Wilkinson are now talking with the officials to try to make certain that the 17 seconds on the clock is official so that they'll be able to just run it out. Third down, of course, if that clock is not official and it could be more than the allotted time in the huddle, then they might have to put the ball in the air yet by virtue of a punt I'm talking about, of course.
Bill Fry is coming over to talk to Ray Yock, and he's moving Yock and the Edmonton bench back because, of course, in the excitement, they were almost down at the point of scrimmage. Well, we've got 17 seconds. Referee Bill Fry is over at the timer's bench to verify that, in fact, there is but 17 seconds left to play.
Well, Tommy Wilkinson went running back out on the field clapping his hands so that you know it's got to be under that 20 seconds.
The clock will begin the moment referee Fry moves away from the ball, and he whistles time in so the clock starts. Wilkinson will just watch it run down. Then he'll go to the line of scrimmage and fall down with it, and the Eskimos will win it. The Edmonton Eskimos are the 1975 Grey Cup champions. The ball game is over. What a game. What a defensive performance by both these clubs, and what tremendous drama. They went to the well 3 times, came up empty the first 2 years, but Ray Yock and the Eskimos know the feeling of satisfaction of winning the CFL championship. They've done it today, 9-8 over the Montreal Alouettes.
Well, Pat, you have to say, too, that they were value for the money. The Alouettes had the opportunity, of course, of taking the lead in that third quarter, of enlarging on their lead with that field goal, but they opted not to go for it, and when they went for the touchdown, the Eskimo defense came up big and stopped Johnny Rogers short. The Alouettes also, late in that fourth quarter, were threatening to come back and take over the lead, but they elected to play it conservatively. But you have to remember that those things, such as a mishandled snapback, when the weather's a chill factor of about 20 to 25 below zero, those hands are going to be a little tender, and you might not always get that ball set properly, and that's what happened to Don Sweet. But the Eskimo defense, I thought, came on very strongly in that second half of play, and their offense itself just did enough to win the ball game, and it was that kind of weather conditions and that kind of a closely matched game that dictated that kind of approach.
Well, the Canadian player of the game is Edmonton's Dave Cutler, who accounted for all of the Eskimos' 9 points. The Labatt offensive player of the game is Steve Ferrighelli of the Montreal Alouettes. The Labatt defensive player of the game is Lewis Cook. And, of course, as we mentioned, Dave Cutler wins the CP, Canadian Player of the Game, and the Eskimos are being brought to midfield to be presented by the Prime Minister of Canada, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, with the Grey Cup. What a ball game it was. No touchdowns. All of the points coming off the boot of the 2 respective field goal kickers. And unfortunately, from a Montreal point of view, Don Sweet, who had a chance to win it, never really had that opportunity because of the mishandled snap by Jimmy Jones. But the Eskimos have won it, and let's go down now to Winston McQuaid at midfield.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the official presentation of the Grey Cup, the Prime Minister of Canada, Mesdames et Messieurs, pour la présentation officielle de la Coupe Grey, le Premier ministre du Canada, Pierre Elliott Trudeau.
Well, you can imagine what is happening right now in the Edmonton dressing room. This was their 3rd consecutive try to win the Grey Cup. They lost last year to Montreal. It looked for the moment, well, at least in the dying moments of the game, that the Montreal Alouettes with Sonny Wade would do it once again, pull it out of the fire. And then, of course, the dramatic miss of a field goal attempt by Don Sweet allowed Montreal to score just 1 point and give the Eskimos that narrow 9-8 lead. A very tough defensive football game all the way through. No question about that. All the scoring was done by both field goal kickers, Don Sweet and Dave Cutler, and it was just a tremendous game all the way through. Perhaps the key to the game may have been early in that third quarter when Montreal got down deep into Edmonton territory. And as they tried desperately to go over from about 2 yards out, Johnny Rogers dropped the ball momentarily and could not recover and could not get into the end zone to score. From then on, the Eskimos seemed to get a life. They came back, they controlled the ball part of that fourth quarter when they needed it. But late in the quarter, suddenly, Montreal started to come back, and of course the missed field goal did most of the damage for the Montreal Alouettes. And you can see what's going on in the background there. The very happy Eskimo dressing room. Coach Ray Yark said just before the game that should they not win, they'll be back again next year and try once again. He was concerned about the Montreal Alouette Club because he knew that in every playoff game or key situation, they would come up very, very big defensively, and of course they did again today. But so did the Eskimo Defensive Club. An exciting football game. Now let's go to Don Chevrier in the dressing room.
All right, Ernie, and here is Dave Cutler, and that toe paid off today and got your Grey Cup.
Been Edmonton all year. All we've really wanted to do is win, and we don't care whether it's 10 points, 100 points, or 1 point. This is a team effort, and that's the way we look at it. It's an old cliche, you know, everybody does the job, and that's just the way it was. Defense held them in the second half. They didn't give them an inch, and that's what it was all about.
Well, that third quarter, of course, you had the wind and ran out of it on the fourth. An awfully tough wind to kick into today.
Yeah, we didn't have to. We ran that field goal out of bounds. That was on purpose. We didn't want Johnny to get the ball on a run back, because on a field goal it pops it up. And we probably pop it up going into that wind. Going with the wind, it's great.
Dave, congratulations on a fine show. And I know, like many of the Eskimos, those 2 years of frustration now are a thing of the past. It's finally happened for you.
We flushed those down the toilet.
Right, all right. And you'll be celebrating for a while tonight, I'm sure.
Probably, yes.
With thousands of Eskimo supporters.
Okay, good.
Bill?
I've got Ray Yark coming up, if I can get him past his players. He's congratulating each one personally. Ray, let's have you up in the stand, please. As usual, the post-game celebrations are a little bit of confusion, but right at the end, Ray, you had a team meeting, a brief one, and said a prayer, I believe, with the team. Is that correct?
Well, I guess it's correct, yeah.
I saw you go on the side.
We always kind of kneel down and have everybody think about it a little bit, and once in a while the guys start a prayer, and if that's what they want to do, then, that's what we do.
Well, this was really a big victory for you, and it couldn't have been tougher, 9-8, and the way it ended.
Well, no doubt about that. I think, defensively, they're a great football team, and we had a couple opportunities to score, and we dropped the ball and, did a few things like that. But I think that you have to give our defense full credit for that second half. They really came up big. They got a big play, and we were lucky. Sweet missed a field goal from in there close, so, that's the name of the game, but that's the way football is. You win some, you lose some.
Well, when you come to it 3 times in a row, it's a case of you figure you're going to get a break sooner or later.
Well, yeah, we needed a break, I think, after all these years. But, we beat a football team. It's a great football team. They're defending champions, and it's a great feeling for our guys. I think that we want to remain humble in victory. I think that we have to use humility that should be shared by everybody, because there'll be another year next year, and when you lose, you say little, and when you win, you say less.
Well, I want you to say a little bit more, such as, do you feel there were any players that had a standout game for you?
Oh, I can't really say, individually. I thought that I saw Este there quite a bit, had a pretty good ball game, but I thought it was a pretty total team effort. It's a great feeling. I'll tell you, it's great for the people of Edmonton. In particular, I'd like to thank when I became coach in 1970, some of the people that followed us. In 71, we had a rough year. The people that stayed with us. And then we started coming back and started building a football team. And I'd like to thank those thousands of fans at Edmonton that stuck with us through the bad times.
Well, they did a great job, but there's one final question. Was your biggest decision deciding whether you were going to punt or go for 3rd and 1 when you were deep in your own zone there in the final quarter?
Well, no doubt. We had to get the ball out of there. We couldn't. If we wouldn't have made that, they were really crowding us hard. And, if we wouldn't have made that, it would have been the ball game. We had to kick the football. Gary kicking the football in the wind pretty good, and we were getting good coverage. So there's no doubt we had to kick it out of there.
Once again, Ray Yark. Congratulations.
Thanks, Bill.
Great job. Ray Yock,
Hey,
head
Bill,
coach.
we've got a couple of ball players here, an offensive key in George McGowan, a defensive star, and certainly in Ron Este. Ron, you were saying that field goal attempt by Don Sweet that almost pulled it off for Montreal didn't miss by very much.
Yeah, and the only thing we can thank for is our Lord and Savior. Because I tell you one thing, you can see now that there's a God up there when he missed that ball for about 1 inch. And he's been with us. He's been with us all year long, just, and we just pray the whole game, and we just think positive, and we just thank him for allowing us to win.
That was some defensive show by your club, I thought.
Well, we've been, all year long that we've been talked about and saying, we just average. And I think maybe that did a little bit to help us out, and boost us up last game and especially this game. I know I dedicated this Grey Cup to my father because he passed away when I was a senior in high school, and I wanted to win bad.
Glad you did, Ron. Congratulations on an outstanding showing. All right, here's George McGowan. George, you got a little wet there, George.
Yeah,
listen,
well,
we're all going to get a little wet in here. Listen.
Daddy Howe's here. He had a baby
the
boy
official?
last night, or this
Well, that's
morning.
a double reason to celebrate then. Is that right?
Morning? No, yesterday. Saturday. Here you go.
Yeah? Listen, you made some super catches in that ball game, George. My hands were cold, and I was just standing there. Now, how did you hang onto the ball like that?
I have no idea. I can't even remember what happened past the first half.
Well, can you think of something?
Well, I don't know. We tried our best to keep our hands warm. They had some good blower systems on the sideline, and I got this muff here.
Yeah.
And that's about all I could do to keep warm.
What about wending your way through Alouette coverage? Did they play you as tightly as you thought they might?
Yes, they did. They played a outstanding rotation coverage. They played real tough, and it's tough to pass against these guys. You've got to keep working open, and luckily we've worked together enough that we've done it so often enough that we were able to do it. Unfortunately, I did drop a couple passes, but so it goes.
Too. Right. Okay, George, we have to take a little break now. Congratulations. Enjoy your victory celebration with the rest of the Eskimos. The 1975 Grey Cup game is over. The Eskimos winning at 9-8. Our post-game show continues in just a moment.
A great football game and a great kicker did all the damage for the Eskimos. He kicked all 9 points. And by virtue of that, he won the Canadian Pacific Air Award. And to present it to him, the president of CP Air, John Gilmer. Dave Cutler, the recipient.
Dave, it's a great pleasure for me on behalf of CP Limited and CP Air to present you with CP's award as the greatest Canadian player in the game today. You're joining a very select company. We had Dick Suderman, Gary Lefebvre, Ian Sunter, and Don Sweet, now yourself. This award itself is a somewhat symbolic trophy, but a more tangible evidence of our tribute to you is this authorization for you and any guest that you choose to go to any destination on the 5 continents that we serve, and there's also a check in there for your walking around money. The sincerest congratulations, Dave.
Thanks very much, sir. That's a great honor. Thank you.
Dave, may I add a question here for Mr. Gilmer? I know how you must feel for a friend of yours and Don Sweet who had the chance to put it away and didn't. I know you yourself would be torn up about it. It's one of those things that you don't like to happen, but it happens occasionally.
Yeah, I think we've all been in the position to miss something like that, but I think Don is, he's got a legitimate excuse. I think there was a bad exchange, and it has to be really smooth between the center holder and the kicker, and I don't think it was quite as smooth as it could have been, and I think that probably contributed a lot.
Well, Dave, congratulations. You've had just a great season, all those points, and now the CP Award. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, Dave.
Thanks,
now back to the dressing room and Bill Stevenson.
Well, now I'm talking to the big Bill Stevenson. It's nice to see a Bill Stevenson playing football the way you do.
Oh, thank you. I heard you on TV the other time or a while back.
Well, we're a mutual admiration society.
Really?
It's great to win that Grey Cup in your second year of pro ball.
It's fantastic. I never had a better feeling in my life.
Who gave you most trouble out there for your defensive end spot, Bill?
Well, Jimmy Jones. He moved around, and we had to try and contain him all the time and just watch him because he just does so many things with the ball. He can run, he can pass, he can do anything, and he's the main man we got to watch out there.
Well, Bill Stevenson, congratulations. Great job.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay. Chevy?
All right, here is Fred James, who came back home to Calgary to win a Grey Cup, and that feels kind of nice.
Oh, Don, it feels fantastic. I was really, really happy with the turn of events, and I couldn't be more pleased than to finish out this season here in Calgary in the dressing room that I had been in for 8 years plus, and come in here again after the game and sip out of the Grey Cup. It's a fantastic feeling.
Okay, I've got the two quarterbacks right here, but right now we're going back to Ernie Afaganis. We'll talk to Bruce and Tom right after that.
All right, Don, and we have two outstanding players in the game, the offensive player and the defensive player. They're both Montreal Alouettes, and they will receive special awards. The offensive player of the game was C. Farragelli. Lewis Cook, the outstanding defensive player. Don McDougall, the president of Labatt's of Canada Limited. Would you please come in here and do the presentation? I'll hold this for you.
Thank you very much, Ernie. Congratulations, Steve. I must say that Montreal have a monopoly on our awards. I last year gave these two awards to Montreal players, and you'll be able to outfit your whole dressing room in Canadian sculpture. This is a Canadian sculpture, a souvenir. In addition to this is Canada Savings Bond, $1,000 for you and family, and hope you enjoy it. Great game and great sport.
Congratulations, Steve. It was a great football game. I mean, you played really quite well.
Well, I mean, when an individual stands out, I think, especially a running back, it goes to show that the offensive line and the coordination was right there, the unity. I'm very proud to be part of the Alouettes. I'm proud to be here with the Canadian Football League. I think the game today showed that we have two good teams. We could have won the game with a couple minutes ago. You can't blame any individual. A game isn't won or lost on a single play. And I'm very happy for Edmonton. It's their third time around, and they maintained enthusiasm. They came back with all the desire at the end of the game. And I think for everybody, I'm happy. And hell, we lost, and what can you do?
You'll be back again next year, I suppose. Thank you very much, Steve, and congratulations again. Now, Don McDougall has a presentation for Lewis Cook, the outstanding defensive player of the game.
Congratulations, Lewis. Our best wishes with you. Go the $1,000, the Canada Savings Bond, and this sculpture. All the best and good sportsmanship.
Lewis, defensively, the Alouettes are always tough.
Yes, today we came up with some pretty big defensive rush from my defensive line. And like Steve said, he fairly well summed it up. You know, everybody was out there doing their best, and just one of those things. Yeah, right.
The outstanding players of the game, Lewis Cook and Steve Farragelli. Thank you very much, Don. Now let's go back to that dressing room action.
All right, here's one half of the Eskimos Grey Cup Championship quarterbacking act in Bruce Lemmerman, and again today you guys shared the job and got it done.
That's right. It's been a total team effort between Tom and I the whole year, and right from training camp, we both worked, tried to help each other out on our weak points and our strong points, and it's paid off for us. Let's face it, a lot of guys maybe couldn't get along in that situation, but Tom and I are best of friends, and whatever it takes for the team to win, that's what we're going to do.
Bruce, that win was not exactly to be overlooked in the way of an important factor in the game today.
Well, that's right. It was definitely going to affect the kicking game for sure, and it affected the fact that it lowered the chill factor down a little bit, and it made it a little bit colder, made it a little bit tougher for the receivers to hang on the ball sometimes.
How about throwing into it? Was it a problem?
Well, it was a little bit easier, I think, for Tommy because he has a little bit better circulation in his hand, and that's why we went with him in the fourth quarter. I just felt that he could do a better job of throwing the ball, and it paid off for us because I felt like if I hung one out in the flat or something like that because I couldn't throw it hard, that possibly would give them the defensive break they needed to turn the game around.
How is that hand of yours?
Well, it's going to be all right, but I think it's going to take something like 2 or 3 months to correct and so forth. And, Tom, you can have all that you want back in Edmonton.
All right, I think we've let you have your say, and now it's up to Bill Stevenson and Tom.
It is Tom Wilkinson rebuttal time. Tom, that was a defensive game all the way.
Yes, it was, Bill. You've got to give full credit to their defense. They have a great defense and did a real good job on us, and our defense did a great job on them. It was a total team effort. Our special teams did good. I thought it was two damn good football teams played two damn hard-fought games.
Oh, no doubt about that. I'll tell you something, Tommy. It must be the highlight of a great career. You were the outstanding player in Canada last year, now the Grey Cup.
And the outstanding player doesn't even compare to the feeling that you have by winning this one. This is something you aim for. The other one is just something that is bestowed upon you. But what a great team effort. What a great team, and we deserve to win it.
Was that the toughest defense you've met this year?
It was. They are a hard-hitting, physical football team, and either team could have won. And I know how they feel over there because we've felt that way 2 years in a row, but it's great to feel this way, too.
Tell me, does the cold weather, or did the cold weather, make it tough to throw the ball and handle it?
Not really, Bill. At first it did, but once you started getting used to it and you kept blowing on your hand, I'd like on a few of my passes to use that for an excuse, but the wind didn't really bother me. I threw some bad passes out there today.
Well, thank you very much, Tom Wilkinson. We're going to break for a moment. The score was 9-8 for Edmonton, and we'll be back with Grey Cup festivities in a moment.
You all agree, a very exciting football game, an exciting Grey Cup game. And the final score, Edmonton 9 and Montreal 8. And this is Ernie Afghana saying goodbye for all our broadcast crews, our sponsors, the CBC and CTV networks, and the Canadian Football League, as we come to another very entertaining CFL season.
The 1975.
This is CBC,